WTMJ, Milwaukee.
At 12 o'clock, it is 69 degrees. It'll be slight chance of thunderstorms far north, some sunshine, windy, and very warm today. It's going to be a high of 77. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Wyatt Barmore-Pooley. Homicides in Milwaukee are down this quarter. Chief Jeffrey Norman says property crime and auto thefts are also down, but carjackings are up. The chief,
unfortunately, seeing that type of uptick with these young adults and young crews where they are, again, being a little bit more brash and reckless that we don't like to see.
Milwaukee Mayor Cavalier Johnson reiterating that it takes the entire community to help crack down on crime as the numbers are released this morning. Tom Emmer, a Republican congressman from Minnesota who serves as the House Majority Whip, is now the candidate for Speaker of the House. Republicans electing Emmer in a secret ballot behind closed doors today. Now he's going to need the 217 votes on the floor to become the next speaker. ABC's Jay O'Brien on Capitol Hill says lawmakers are now going to vote again amongst themselves before taking the vote to the full House floor.
Typically, the last two speaker nominees, Steve Scalise and Jim Jordan, who both failed to secure the votes they needed, were elected via secret ballot, and that was it. On this, the third speaker nominee now, Republicans added another measure, one more, that you have to have a roll call vote now behind closed doors, which is exactly what transpires on the floor. The name of the member is called, and they vocalize who they're going to vote for.
Emmer is one of a handful of Republicans who voted to certify the results of the 2020 election, which was a reason why moderate Republicans rejected the bid of Jim Jordan for Speaker. The Milwaukee Fire Department has confirmed a body has been recovered from the Milwaukee River near Water and Cherry. Multiple dive crews on scene. It's unclear how long the body has been in the water. Milwaukee police have not said so far whether that death is being considered suspicious. A new partnership between the new Milwaukee Public Museum and Culver's.
Milwaukee is the capital for frozen custard.
Culver's co-founder Craig Culver announcing a $1 million donation towards the future Milwaukee Public Museum's Milwaukee Revealed Gallery. That gallery will feature a frozen custard shop complete with custard machine. Now, it won't actually make real custard, and museum senior VP of Development Julie Quinlan Brom explains why.
Throughout that Milwaukee Revealed exhibit will be real objects from the Milwaukee Public Museum's collection, so we can't have food getting all over them and destroying that history.
Adam Roberts, WTMJ News.
National recognition for Wisconsin. Brookfield East High School principal Andy Farley has won the National Principal of the Year Award from the National Association of Secondary School Principals during Farley's decade as principal of Brookfield East. It's consistently named Wisconsin's top public high school. He tells Wisconsin's Afternoon News.
Our mission has always been a commitment to academic and human excellence, and I think the award certainly is celebratory for our staff and students that all kids have the power and the ability to do well here.
Under Farley's leadership, Brookfield East's Hope Squad develops student leaders to serve as ambassadors for wellness throughout the school, community, and region. Time for news about your money, the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Everything is in the green today. The Dow is up 86 points. That's a little over 0.25%. The S&P is up just under 7, and the NASDAQ is up a little over 16. It's time for the Annex Wealth Management Tax Smart Planning Review. They'll review, assess, and provide strategies you can use. Go to annexwealth.com/taxsmart. Sports, traffic, and weather is coming up next. Sighting Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 12:03.
This report sponsored by Mr. Holland's Heating and Air Conditioning. Visit MrHollandsHeatingandAir.com.
We all have that one person in our lives that we admire. For me, it's my Uncle Aiden. Years ago, he made quite the name for himself as an electrician for the Amish. Yes, you heard that right. He was an Amish electrician. And let's just say Uncle Aiden didn't make too many house calls. Nowadays, Uncle Aiden would, no doubt, be envious of the efficient electricians at Mr. Holland's Home Services. Our talented electrical techs are always in demand. They arrive punctually as promised, and they get the job done right the first time. And they do it with integrity, confidence, and yes sir, yes ma'am manners. In other words, they're just like Uncle Aiden, only much, much busier. For lights, fans, switches, and whole house rewiring, backup generators, and more, let Mr. Holland's Home Services keep you on the grid. 866-992-1717 or visit MrHollandsHomeservices.com. If you're worried that your erratic electricity will blast you back to the horse and buggy days, we can help.
Hosting this holiday season? Get your home dressed to impress. Ken Michaels Furniture is having a pre-holiday sale to get your new furniture to you in time. We carry thousands of fabrics, leathers, and wood finishes so you can create a look that's as unique as you are. Order now and wow your holiday guests with personalized furniture. With discounts starting at 30%, you can't beat these deals. Stop in today at Ken Michaels Furniture on Capitol Drive in Brookfield and Highway 100 in Greenfield. Give yourself the gift of beautiful, long-lasting furniture this holiday season. Our pre-holiday sale at Ken Michaels Furniture will ensure that your pieces arrive before the holidays. We're offering 35% off Amish hardwood dining sets in your choice of wood, shape, and finish. Create a holiday table that's ready for your teenager's Instagram. If you order now, you can have the furniture of your dreams by Christmas. Stop in today at Ken Michaels Furniture on Capitol Drive in Brookfield and Highway 100 in Greenfield.
Bucs fans everywhere have reason to celebrate today. According to ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski, Giannis and Milwaukee have agreed to a 3-year, $186 million contract extension on Monday. Bucs president Peter Fagan speaking on the offseason that was had in Milwaukee.
And this is injecting some found enthusiasm in what was already a championship-level team and kind of, upping the expectations.
The Bucs will officially open their season on Thursday night against the Philadelphia 76ers. The Texas Rangers will await the winner of the NLCS as they go on for the Game 7 11-4 win on Monday night against the Houston Astros. Philly and Arizona will face off with a Game 7 tonight. Game 1 of the World Series will begin on Friday in Texas. Week 7 of the NFL concluded on Monday night as the Vikings took down the Niners by a final score of 22-17. The Packers will play host to Minnesota, who have won their last 2 games this upcoming Sunday at Lambeau Field. And lastly, Wisconsin redshirt freshman quarterback Brady Locke was named Big Ten Freshman of the Week on Monday. I'm Brandon Snide, WTMJ Sports.
Taking a look at your roads, it's your Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver traffic. We've got an accident in Waukesha County. This is near Pewaukee. 94 eastbound, about a half mile beyond the ramp from County F. That is a disabled vehicle, and it is currently blocking the left lane. That was reported about 20 minutes ago, and it is causing some backups all the way to about Highway 45 from Highway 16 to the zoo. It's going to be about 14 minutes, so you're going to see those delays. Once you get past the accident, though, headed on into Milwaukee County, things are looking good. In Milwaukee County, we got no slowdowns or delays and no accidents.
Traffic is sponsored by TaybackAttorneys.com. Social Security benefits denied? Call Tayback for the payback. Unable to work due to health problems? Let Tayback help you get approved for the Social Security benefits you're entitled to. Call Tayback for the payback. TaybackAttorneys.com.
Time for the WTMJ 5-day forecast. Some sunshine today. It's going to be windy and very warm, a high of 77. Tonight, showers are likely, mostly cloudy and breezy with a low of 60. Morning showers likely on Wednesday. It's going to be mostly cloudy and breezy with a high of 68. Thursday, rain and storms again likely, mostly cloudy and breezy again as well. The high is 68 again as well. Friday, chance of showers mostly cloudy. The high is yet again 68. And on Saturday, a chance of showers, partly sunny skies and a high of 52. Right now in Madison, it's 70. In Green Bay, it's 64. In Waukesha, it's 68. And in Milwaukee, it is 68 degrees. I'm Wyatt Barmore-Pooley, Sighting Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 12:08.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at The Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Come join the conversation on the Old National Bank talk and text line at 855-616-1620. Old National Bank. Get old. Now, here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
Good afternoon, Wisconsin. Welcome to the show. So very glad to have you with us. If you're listening, we appreciate that. If you are watching, you can now watch us. We live stream. Go to WTMJ.com, hit the Watch Live button, or who knew, we've got our own YouTube channel. You can go there as well and just put in WTMJ and watch live. Lots of people are doing that. That's one of the interesting things that's changed in the last couple months. It's not just, spoken word radio, but there's also this video component as well. And I think a lot of us are still adapting to that. Okay, I admit to being a little bit distracted so far this morning because announced last week that I was going to be retiring. And what that means is you have to start thinking about, okay, where am I going to get my health insurance from? And so I've been actually dealing with that for the course of the last couple months since I knew this was coming. So I'd signed up for Medicare at the start of the year and had dropped all that stuff off. But today was the day that we met with our advisor for like the second or the third time to really make the final decisions about, okay, what are you going to do? What are the supplements going to be? How do you do this? And my only comment is that you really need, I believe, to find somebody to walk you through this who you really trust, and not necessarily somebody who makes $600 for every person they sign up for a particular program or whatever, because it is very, very complicated. And I don't pretend to say, all right, should you go the Medicare route or should you go the Advantage route? The difference being Medicare is the traditional government-sponsored program. Yet Medicare, and if you get Medicare, what you need to do is then you need to get a supplement. They call it Medigap, that are put on in Wisconsin. I think there's 4 private insurance companies, and you pay extra for that, but it makes up the difference between what Medicare covers and what your final expenses might be. So you've got that choice. The other way to go is the Advantage plan. They call it Medicare Advantage, but it's really not Advantage. Your Medicare premiums, instead of going to the government, go to an insurance company. And there's different coverages that are available. And again, it kind of depends a lot on what your particular health situation is. The Advantage plans are unlike Medicare plans, which are, again, administered by the government, and you can go to any doctor that you want that takes Medicare, which is almost every one of them. If you go the Advantage route, it's what I'm describing as managed care. They're run by insurance companies who then make decisions as to, what it is that you need. Your doctor could recommend something, but ultimately it has to be signed off on by the insurance carrier that runs this. And it's not necessarily bad or good. It's just different. And I think, having now gone through this process, I understand how complicated this could be. And I don't take any particular position on whether or not, what's right for me is right for you. That's a very individual thing. Like I say, it depends on, how much money people have, and it depends on, what your health situation is like and things like that. But these are some very, very important decisions that are made because it's not necessarily easy to go back and forth. For example, if you go the Advantage route and then you decide after a year or two or whatever, you want to, go back and get yourself basic Medicare, you can do that. But the supplement, well, you might have to qualify. So if you've been diagnosed with a really, really bad disease, you might not qualify for the supplement if you want to go back. Whereas if you're signing up in the first place, they got to take you. So there's a lot of these different factors that go into it. And it's like I say, I'm a lawyer, and I'm sitting there thinking, boy, this is incredibly complicated. There's all these different decisions to make. I just caution people, find somebody that you trust that can give you, objective information as to what the best choice for you is, whether that's Advantage, whether it's Medicare with Medigap, whatever it is. But you need to really spend some time with somebody, because I am sure that there's all sorts of people who, see some flashy ads for this or that or the other thing and make a decision and then come to regret it somewhere down the line. So I think we've now gone through that. I think it's all set, all done, and candidly, it's kind of a relief. Gosh, I'm glad we've got this out of the way. All right, you heard it at the top of the hour news with Wyatt. For years and years and years, and this is my perspective growing up as a Milwaukee sports fan, whether it was the Brewers or whether it was the Bucks, I have seen over the years great players leave because it was a small market. For the Bucks, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, formerly Lou Alcindor, played 5 years here, didn't want to be in Milwaukee. And so, he kind of forced his way into a trade, went on to have a great career with the Los Angeles Lakers. But it wouldn't have been great to have Kareem be a Milwaukee Buck for all his life. And think of how many more titles the Bucks might have won if Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in his prime was playing for the Bucks. But for a variety of reasons, beyond just money, he wanted other opportunities. For the Brewers, with the exception of Robin Yount, I don't know that you can say that there was any great Brewer player who finished his career here. You know, Paul Molitor. Remember Paul Molitor? Paul Molitor left because the Brewers just simply couldn't pay him what he was worth on the open market. And you can't fault a player for that. I mean, careers are short. And, you know, you might prefer to stay, and there might be a little bit of a hometown discount. But at the end of the day, you know, you've got to make money while you can. And that's been one of the things that has really, I think, plagued the Brewers in particular over the years, that you have these players that come up. You'd love to be able to figure out a way to keep them. You'd say, wouldn't it be great if so-and-so finished their entire career as a Brewer, but at the same time, you can't do that. I mean, the latest example, well, you saw it with Josh Hader. The Brewers cut Josh Hader, traded Josh Hader a year and a half ago because they knew free agency was coming up, and they knew they were not going to be able to pay him anything close to what he was going to be able to earn on the open market. So the result of that is, all right, let's trade him while we think we can get something for him. The Brewers are going to be faced with the same issue this year with regard to Corbin Burns, who been a Brewer all his life, but he's in the last year of arbitration eligible. After next year, he's going to be a free agent, and I think the thinking is that he's going to be able to command much, much more money on the open market than the Brewers can pay. So now they're wrestling with the question of, do we trade him in the offseason? Do we trade him at the All-Star break? What exactly do we do? But it's been this frustration that because you are a small market team, you can't keep these players that maybe you'd like to. And so that's why a guy like Robin Yount, who plays in a town for his entire career, those are few and far between, which is why the news about Giannis is so amazing, because for those of you who haven't been following, he's apparently signed a contract extension with the Bucks. It's a 3-year deal, $186 million, which is, just think about that, $186 million. Boy, that is a ton of money. $186 million, which is the maximum that under the existing NBA contract, it's the maximum that he could be paid. So, $62 million a year, 3-year extension, player option for the 2007-2008 season. So this keeps Giannis as a member of the Milwaukee Bucks, again, for another 3 or 4 years for sure. So it's not to say that at some point in time, he might make a decision to move on. But at least for this period of time, I think you can argue that Giannis is the best basketball player on the planet. Now, some people might disagree, but let's say, if you disagree with that, let's say he's one of the top 3 or 4 best basketball players on the planet. I don't think you can really argue with that. And the deal is, okay, he is now going to be, for another 3 or 4 years, he's going to be a member of the Milwaukee Bucks. And how cool is that? Because any team that has Giannis on it is immediately a contender for the NBA championship. And, he's stepped forward. He's made the commitment. He said, look, I want to be with the Bucks. And it's a tribute to the Bucks as well, who have decided, all right, we're all in on this, and we're going to pay the luxury taxes, and we're going to spend all this money because we want to bring another championship to Milwaukee. And Giannis has responded in kind. So it's something really, really rare, especially when you look at all the mobility. And who knows whether Giannis will finish his career in Milwaukee or not. But we know at least that for the next several years, we're going to have the pleasure of watching one of the best basketball players on the planet. How cool is that? It's good for Giannis. It's good for the city. It is a tribute to the Milwaukee Bucks. And let's get that season started. When we come back, book banning. Stick around.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
Be our eyes on the road. See something out there that I should know about?
Hi, there is an accident on I-43 northbound.
Call me, Debbie Lazaga, at the hallmazda.com traffic tip line at 414-238-9329.
Hi, Debbie. It's Michael. Just drove through the area of 894 West. There's debris in the roadway.
The drive affects you. Why not be part of it?
I'm sitting here in I-43 north of Silver Spring. It's a parking lot.
Give me a call, 414-238-9329.
Accunet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
Chris and Tim closed their first loan with Accunet $116,000 ago in terms of the median sales price in southeastern Wisconsin. We helped their daughter buy a home earlier this year, and now we're helping them buy their retirement condo. We're told there were 3 offers, 2 cash offers, and Chris and Tim's offer backed up by an AccuNet rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval. All 3 offers were probably over the asking price, but we're surmising Chris and Tim's offer was the highest because when the sellers asked the listing broker if they could count on the offer with the pre-approval letter, the answer was simply, AccuNet really does their homework. It's not easy to beat a cash offer over the asking price, but that's exactly what Tim and Chris did with some help from their trusted family mortgage lender. If you don't think the lender's name on your pre-approval letter matters, think again. It's still a seller's market in the Badger State, so click on the blue button at AccuNet.com today to get started with your rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval. That's ACCUNET.com.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano here. You know, I played sports my entire life, been hurt a lot of times, but never had been injured until I had to stop doing the sports I enjoyed because my knee flat wouldn't allow it. I visited Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin, where they took great care of me. I put my knee in their doctors' capable hands, and now I'm back in the gym, carrying my golf bag, pain-free for 18 holes, and playing tennis as often as I like, with no issues. I'd recommend Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin to anyone. Visit orthowisconsin.com.
Is outdoor living limited at your place? Well, imagine a deck, a patio, pergola, fire pit, maybe even an outdoor kitchen in your yard. Outdoor Living Unlimited is a local, family-owned company that consults, designs, and builds these things. They're the best. Let them make Outdoor Living Unlimited in your yard like they did in ours. We are Wisconsin. We live outdoors as much as possible. Make the most of it with help from Outdoor Living Unlimited. See OutdoorLivingUnlimited.com.
Back for more. Here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
I have said this before. I am an avid reader. I started out reading the funny papers, in newspapers, and then I grew up reading comic books. And I understand that might sound silly, but I learned how to read. I mean, it's where I got my love of reading. So I'd read. I was a big fan of Marvel comics back in the day. I remember when they were 12 cents, which is dating myself. But I mean, I'd learn how to read by reading the comics, by reading comic books and stuff. And that then fostered, then I started reading newspapers, and then, I read books, and I've been an avid reader, since I can remember. And at any given time, nowadays, my wife just kind of rolls her eyes, but at any given time, I probably have, 2 or 3 books that are going. And I'll read a couple chapters in one, and then I'll switch over and read a couple chapters in another. And I like a wide variety of stuff. I like crime mysteries. I like biographies. I like historical stuff. It's just if it appeals to me, it appeals to me. And so I've always believed that if you're a parent, one of the greatest gifts that you can give your kids is you can give them a gift of reading, because I think it keeps the mind active and things like that. And it's not that I'm down on video games and things of the like, but I think if you can get your kids to read books and enjoy books, along with whatever the latest shoot 'em up video game is, it keeps their mind active, and they end up learning stuff. And I think it benefits them later on in life. So I'm a big believer in reading and reading different things. Now, over the years, I've read, like I say, a lot of what I would call the great books. And I remember, when I was in high school, I read books, and some of the novels were arguably controversial. One, Kurt Vonnegut, who prolific writer, probably had his heyday in the mid-'60s to the early '70s, came out with a series of books, and his most famous book is one called Slaughterhouse-Five. I remember reading Slaughterhouse-Five when I was in high school. Slaughterhouse-Five is, now keep in mind, it's written in 1969, so this is while the Vietnam War is raging, and it was, at least part of it, was set in World War II, and it surrounded the Allied bombing of Dresden in Germany. It's a hard book to read. A lot of Vonnegut books are kind of hard to read. They kind of jump around and things. But I thought it was a good book. It's got graphic scenes, in particular violence. It talks about the firebombing of a city, but it's not gratuitous. It's just that's what the story is. I bring this up because Slaughterhouse-Five is one of the 33 books that have now been banned in the Menominee Falls School District from the high school library. And there's a number of them, a series of books by a woman named Sarah J. Moss, who writes A Court of Frost and Starlight, A Court of Mist and Fury, it's one of these sort of fantasy things, set in this alternative universe and things like that. There's a number of other books that are on this list, and I got to tell you, even though I consider myself to be an avid reader, with the exception of Slaughterhouse-Five and The Handmaid's Tale, which has been made into a recurring TV show on one of the streaming services. I don't think that there's any books that are on here that I have read, but I've read the summaries of some of these things. And in general, it's not like this is porn. These are books which in some cases deal with adult content. And include, stories of violence and things like that. Slaughterhouse-Five, set in, again, World War II, it's going to have that violence that is there. And I freely confess that these books, aren't necessarily for everyone, but it's not like this is porn. I mean, it's not. These are what I would describe as mainstream books. The Menominee Falls school system has decided that they are going to remove these 33 books from the library. And I think the response has been, we think this is the deal with, again, adult content. They break the district's guidelines for profanity and or sexually explicit content. And the problem, of course, is, where do you end up drawing the line? Because remember when there was a controversy about banning books like Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn because they're written at a certain time and there's, use of the N-word, for example. And that got these books in the crossfire. And my objection was, look, you can't sanitize, literature. And, if you're going to for example, if you're going to teach the book, if you're going to teach Huckleberry Finn, what you have to do is I think you have to put it in context and say, look, there are these terms which, are objectionable by 2023 standards, which probably should have been objectionable by 1905 standards. But regardless, these were words that were used, and this is how people thought at that particular time. So it ends up being a learning sort of thing. So I guess I'm looking at this book banning thing, and yes, I understand they deal with adult concepts, and in some cases they have sex acts in them, and in some cases they have violence in them, and in some cases they have profanity. But we're not talking about a sixth grade library. We're talking about high school libraries and books which, again, in many cases are taught as part of curriculum. Our number is 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. Now, I'm somewhat sympathetic because, again, the problem is you've got to draw a line somewhere. So if your rule is we don't want to have porn in the library, so we're going to ban sexually explicit content, and then you have a book where there's, as part of the overall story, there's a sex scene in it or something like that, and you say, okay, well, now do we have to bump this book? Because if we don't bump this book, then do we have to allow porn in, the hardcore porn? And I guess my reaction would be, that's what you pay the librarians for, is to, instead of like this hard, fast rule, there's a sex scene in this particular book, boom, we're going to ban it. Instead, I think the standard needs to be, all right, what is the literary merit of a particular book? Because high school libraries don't have to staff everything. And you can say, okay, well, clearly we believe this is porn. We're not going to carry it. If you want this, go order it from Amazon. But banning books like The Handmaid's Tale, banning books like Slaughterhouse-Five, a book that, like I say, I read in high school, I don't think it serves anybody's purpose. 855-616-1620. I guess to me, this is a lot of this falls on the parents. And mom and dad, if you don't want your kid, checking out Slaughterhouse-Five in the library, or you don't want your kid checking out The Handmaid's Tale or something else, it's real simple. Then you tell them, don't do this. Or you see them bring the book home, you say, okay, fine, I think this is age inappropriate. Even though you're 17 years old, I don't want you reading this book. Here, take it back. 855-616-1620. I do not believe banning what I'm going to describe as mainstream books is the way to go. And this is where these school districts get themselves in trouble, again, by setting up these hard and fast rules that, okay, if there's a sex scene in it, we're not going to carry it. Well, okay, all right, my guess is a lot of 17-year-olds in high school or 16-year-olds, they're watching a lot worse when they go home and stream movies on Netflix or Hulu or whatever. 855-616-1620. What do you think? We discuss.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this. Start planning for your retirement today so you enjoy retirement tomorrow. Saturday mornings at 11 and Sunday mornings at 7, where Tony Drake and his Education First team discuss retirement trends, taxes, inflation, and Social Security benefits to help you achieve a more secure financial future.
Join us this week as we discuss Roth conversions, but be careful. It can affect your premiums for your Medicare.
Retirement Ready with Tony Drake on WTMJ.
Hi, this is John Neal, CPA, founder of Right Choice Tax Resolution and best-selling author on how to have less stress with the IRS. Why do so many people live years with back tax problems? You didn't file one year because you were sick or thought you couldn't pay. Then next year you didn't file again. Soon you think you can't file. You do things that don't make sense or may be illegal. Don't bury your head in the sand and hope the problem will go away. It will only get worse unless you make the right choice and step up to get them off your back. Do you want your paycheck garnished, a lien on your house, your passport revoked, or your bank account wiped out? We help reduce or eliminate penalties, negotiate payment plans, and file back tax returns. My latest book has advice on what to do to avoid trouble with the IRS. Make the right choice. Go to rightchoicetax.us to book a call or in-person meeting right now. We know you want to take the first step in getting the IRS off your back so you can live again. That's rightchoicetax.us.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Hey, good morning. You're heading to the airport, right?
Yep, thanks for checking. I like the car. How long have you been a rideshare driver?
About 3 years now, but I really enjoy it.
Isn't it hard to make money these days with the price of gas being so high?
Not for me. I use Upside, the free app that gives you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get real money back when you get gas with the Upside app?
Yep, I get real cash back every time I get gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
I'll make around $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code RACE for an extra 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code RACE for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code RACE.
You're listening to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Every year, as part of my reading project, I try to reread a couple quote-unquote great books. I mean, books that I read when I was a kid that I've kind of forgotten about, and so, I mean, lately I've been on kind of a Hemingway kick, and so, I mean, Ernest Hemingway, I read Ernest Hemingway books in high school, and there are not necessarily graphic sex scenes by today's standards, but you read a couple of the Hemingway books, and there are sex scenes, and they also deal with, in some cases, issues of non-heterosexual love and things like that, and you could argue, okay, I mean, while I think these are handled in an arguably tasteful fashion, you could say, okay, this has got a sex scene in it, so we're going to ban A Farewell to Arms or some of these books, and it's like, really? I mean, I guess I'm sitting there thinking, to me, this is a parental thing, and maybe it's like the old definition of pornography. You know it when you see it. I mean, if there's a school librarian that is stocking the library with books that are, by any objective measure, clearly pornography. Well, that's one where you whistle the librarian in and you probably replace him or her. But otherwise, these arbitrary standards of, there's a sex scene in this particular book, or this book, which is Slaughterhouse-Five being the example, this is an anti-war book, and it's got in an effort to make its point, it's got scenes of graphic violence in it. And so that's what we're going to use as a standard to ban it. I have more than a little bit of trouble with it. And Mom and Dad, if you don't want your 16-year-old kid reading The Handmaid's Tale, I respect that. but maybe that's where, it's incumbent upon you to kind of monitor what your kid is reading. And as a number of you are making the point as well, I haven't read all these books, but I got to tell you, as somebody who regularly watches TV, on one of our 4 channels right now, I've got South Park up. I mean, and this is like basic cable. I'm not even getting to the stuff that they stream on Netflix and some of these other things. My guess is your child has been exposed to a lot more graphic stuff than they're getting in some of these books. And by the way, even if they're reading Slaughterhouse-5 or A Handmaid's Tale, isn't it good that they're reading? 855-616-1620. Steve in Oak Creek. Steve, you're first. Hello.
Hello, and I agree with you. I hate to see books being banned, especially one like Slaughterhouse-5, which has been in high school libraries for years.
Mm-hmm.
I, too, like you, read that book in high school and thought it was very interesting. And if I recall, isn't that book partially autobiographical? I mean, Vonnegut, as I recall, was a prisoner of war during World War II.
Yep. I don't recall that one way or the other, but yes, it's partially right. The character, what is the character? Billy Pilgrim it's semi-autobiographical, and then it goes off on these weird time traveling things. It's interplanetary stuff and aliens, which is one of the reasons why I think it's a confusing book. But yes, you're right. He's writing about the firebombing of Dresden, which is an historical fact.
Yeah, again, it's a Slughouse Fib. It's a good book, and it was a good movie.
Yeah.
I just can't remember the actors in the movie.
Yeah, right. Thanks, guy. It's been a long time since I've seen it. And like I said, I'm not necessarily endorsing Slaughterhouse-5. I went through my Vonnegut phase when, again, I was in high school, and I read a bunch of the books, and then came out with a couple of newer ones, and they did absolutely nothing for me. But okay, but that's fine. That's the decision you're making. Number of people are talking about, well, what about, remember the effort to ban To Kill a Mockingbird? Right, there's all these books, right, and of course, the effort to take To Kill a Mockingbird out of libraries was based on, again, some of the language choices. This is set in, 1930s, Deep South, and, there's the racial component to this, and there's the N-word that appears and things like that. If you can't handle that, and you as a mom or dad are concerned that your kid can't handle that, all right, that's fine. Then just simply say, okay, I don't want you reading that book. Let's talk to Josh in Waukesha. Josh, you're on WTMJ. Hello.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Yeah,
sure.
I mean, I have 4 kids in public school, 4 sons, and frankly, I don't agree with book banning at all. But whatever happened to a rating system, and whatever happened to parental permission slips? When I was in high school, they canceled the musical Tommy for no apparent reason because it was a little too racy. I'm like, come on, I could have sang Pinball Wizard in my high school.
Yeah, well, no,
and I had to, but get a permission slip out there and let the parents make the decision. And even Harry Potter has a, hidden book section that you can't go in without permission. So get this into the hands of the parents where it belongs, and stop pushing pornographic, LGBT, warmongering material on children.
Yeah, well, Josh, I think if you're asking me, is some sort of I don't know, like a PG-13, and look, none of these books are porn. They're just not. Now, admittedly, some of these books are written are written by people in the LGBTQ community, and they're written from a different perspective. And maybe rather than ban the books, you're onto something, and maybe there's some warning, or there's a section that these books contain. It's sort of like when you go to buy. When you go to buy music from time to time, and by the way, if you want to talk about offensive stuff, have you listened to some of the lyrics of songs that have been out there for the last couple decades? But maybe it's something like, you put a warning on that these books have explicit sex scenes in them, or whatever, or these books have, depictions of explicit violence. And maybe if you feel the need to have parental permission slips to take them out, okay, maybe you do that. But that's different than saying we're not going to give you access to it. And by the way, this is, I mean, you're sticking your finger in the dike, trying to stop water from pouring through, and it's going to be unsuccessful because the truth of the matter is, I was looking this Sarah J. Maas, who writes these A Court of Frost and Starlight, A Court of Mist and Fury. You can go down Amazon and you can buy them all for the trade paperbacks for $9.99 a piece. So it's not like the kids aren't going to be exposed to that. It's not like if somebody says, hey, I really want to read this stuff by this Sarah Maas, and you want to read the whole series of this, well, it's not like you can't have really easy access to it. I also, come back and say to the whole concept of they're reading. And look, and if they were stocking, Penthouse or hardcore porn books, that would be a different sort of thing. But and I haven't read all the books on the list, but I've read the descriptions of many of them, and that's not what these books are. Bill and Racine. Bill, you're on WTMJ.
Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
You guys are getting rain up there. We're in Racine County and bright sunshine. What a wonderful day in God's country.
Outstanding.
What can I say?
Well, what do you think about this?
My point is I want you to give me a 1-minute reflection on Old Man and the Sea. That was a controversial book I had when I was in high school as a senior in college preparatory English, and everybody loved that book. From there, I'll let you go.
Well, thanks for calling.
I'll listen.
Okay, thanks for the call, Bill. I'm not sure what about Old Man and the Sea I would even consider to be controversial. I mean, that's the story of a fisherman who's out to the boat and spends a couple days trying to fight the biggest fish of his life and bring it in. And if you haven't read, I mean, it's one of the Hemingway classics. It's not my favorite Hemingway book, but I'm not sure what about that I would consider to even be controversial. But again, many of these, I mean, where do you draw the line? Let me give you All Quiet on the Western Front, generally viewed as one of the great anti-war novels of World War I. Okay, it's about World War I. That's a book that has graphic descriptions of violence. It's all about trying to make the point about the horrors of war. Well, okay, are we going to ban All Quiet on the Western Front? I mean, where do you end up drawing the line? And that's why if you need to put a warning sign in there, if you need to separate certain books and say, hey, you need to have parental permission to sign out Slaughterhouse-Five or whatever, I could live with that. But removing them from the library, banning books, where do you start? And I guess more importantly, where do you stop? Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
I'm Susan Hiller from Hiller Ford on Highway 100. Have you seen the exciting all-electric Mustang Mach-E? It's a really hot-looking car. We have a great selection of 2023 Mustang Mach-E's in stock. They all come with factory rebates up to $9,250. That makes it a truly great deal. This and many more great deals await you at Hiller Ford. Stop in today and see how much you can save, and see why so many people love to buy from Hiller Ford.
Hi, it's John Reitz from Great Midwest Bank, and you gotta love finding change in the junk drawer, or even better, a 20 in your laundry or pants pocket, right? But the best source of extra cash may be in the walls of your home. All right, wait. Now, put down the sledgehammer and tap into the value of your house by setting up a home equity line of credit and experience a state of tranquility, knowing funds are there when you need them. Get started at greatmidwestbank.com. Great Midwest Bank, your simply local equal housing lender.
For those who just can't wait for Black Friday, head over to Fleet Farm today for great Black Friday Now deals. Like a free battery pack with Milwaukee heated jackets, in-store only. Or 40% off all men's Field and Forest flannel. And don't miss our trick-or-treating event on Saturday, October 28th from 10 till noon. With treats for the first 200 kids and gift cards for best costumes. Enjoy Black Friday savings now at Fleet Farm, home of everything you need for everyday life.
Hi, I'm Susan Hiller with Hiller Ford on Highway 100. Well, it's that time of year again. The leaves are falling, and so are our prices here at Hiller Ford. Right now, we're offering 1.9% FlexBuy financing for 66 months on 2024 Ford Edges. Plus, you get a $2,000 factory rebate. We also have over 70 Ford Blue Advantage certified pre-owned vehicles. There's a lot to choose from at Hiller Ford. Stop in and Find out why so many people love to buy from Hiller Ford.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Jeff, my girlfriend's 16-year-old daughter was reading 50 Shades of Grey. I don't think she got it from the library at her high school. Yeah, that's, again, what's going on. Now, one of our texters says, Jeff, just because you can buy it on Amazon doesn't mean that some of the books should be accessed through a school library. Okay, here's what I've tried to argue about this all the time. I think you can make a strong argument that stuff needs to be age appropriate. And candidly, if we were talking about some of these books being in a middle school library, an elementary school library, I would say, yeah. I mean, first of all, I don't care how smart you are. No sixth grader is going to get Slaughterhouse-Five, for example. So I think stuff has to be age appropriate. And I'd be the last person to sit here and argue, okay, well, this is close to pornography, and this book is nothing about nothing except violence and explicit sex and stuff like that, and it's inappropriate for the high school. But that's not what these books are. And just because they've got this scene or that scene in them, I don't think that's a justification for banning them. And if the justification for banning them is, well, we don't want them accessible to the high school students, well, again, good luck with that, because that's where Amazon, comes in. Amazon provides, so anybody can get these. And a number of you are making the point that I agree with as well, that, quite candidly, rather than worrying about whether you can check out Slaughterhouse-Five in the school library, I think mom and dad might be more concerned about, what is the kid accessing on their, computer or their iPad or their iPhone, where within a couple of different keystrokes, you can download stuff and you can see stuff that covers a lot more ground and is a lot more graphic than, what you're going to find in, the fourth paragraph of chapter 6 of one of these various books. I mean, if you want to worry about what the kids are being exposed to, well, maybe you have to start at home and figure out, okay, what are they able to get on the internet? It's a completely and totally different world nowadays when you have this stuff. Jeff, Old Man and the Sea was deemed offensive by the woke crowd due to graphic fishing scenes. Give me a break. I just couldn't even think about why that would be offensive. Jeff, when I was in middle school, us girls would pass around some very racy books. I guarantee our mothers were reading that stuff as well. Banning books is wrong, especially the ones you mentioned. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of I don't know. I mean, do they still have romance novels? The ones where you'd have the covers where you had the guy and his chest was exposed and the shirt was ripped open and stuff like that. I mean, I have a feeling that you have a lot of that stuff that's going on that's out there. So I think, again, you got to put this all in perspective. And when you put it all in perspective, I appreciate that you don't want to have smut in the libraries, but at the same time, I think you err on the side of keeping books in. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner.
Stay tuned. Jeff Wagner returns after this on WTMJ.
When you're due for tire service, visit richlands.com for the location nearest you.
We'll give you free flat tire repair on every tire we install. No questions asked. I'm Brett Matchke with Richlands. You're due for service.
Richlands.
Hey, this is WTMJ's Jeff Wagner here to tell you about Built Right Furniture's 95th anniversary mattress sale, which ends Saturday. Shop the most unique selection with over 60 models and 500 mattresses in stock. Built Right always saves you money. Don't make a mistake by ordering online or from an employee-free store. With Built Right's legitimate sale prices, you will get an exceptional value and a great night's sleep. Built Right does the research for you, and their team will take the time to help fit you. Built Right specializes in flippable two-sided mattresses and heavy-duty mattresses that hold up to 600 pounds. Plus, they offer free delivery on mattress-only purchases of $5.99 or more, and they'll remove your old mattress, too. Select model sets include a free mattress pad or heavy-duty bed frame. Voted best place to shop and winner of the Home Furnishings Association's 2023 National Retailer of the Year Award. They're open Monday through Saturday. They open at 10, they close at 6. Sunday, as always, on Sunday, they're closed to be with family. When you get there, tell them WTMJ's Jeff Wagner sent you to locally and family-owned Built Right, 5430 West Layton Avenue, there in Greenfield.
This is Brad Yumberg with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company. There's a lot of fluff around window sales, but what really matters is the type of people you choose to have working for you. That's why I want to highlight Semper Fi's own CJ Callies. He's been selling, measuring, installing, and managing window installations for 35 plus years. He has a depth of knowledge that allows him to see problems before they happen, and I swear, I think the guy can see behind walls. He's easy to work with, and I can't think of a customer who hasn't liked working with him, and he really is the kind of guy you're going to want on your job. CJ's in charge of our entire window and door division, and you can be assured he's going to have his hands on your project. Most companies focus on the product. At Semper Fi, we focus on our people and you, and that's never let us down. For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, call Semper Fi, because you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
Keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi.
Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Pain relief and gimmicks. The two seem to go hand in hand, and it really is a shame, because when you're living with chronic pain, you're vulnerable. And that's why so many people get tricked into buying unproven treatments. At Rejuvenex, we understand how you suffer, how you wait to get out of bed because you know the pain is coming. Chronic pain from osteoarthritis is a terrible thing, and that's why we use our proprietary, powerful, FDA-approved treatments to precisely target your affected areas, to provide cushion and lubrication that helps deliver long-lasting pain relief in shoulders, hips, elbows, and knees. I'm Richard Salinas, registered nurse with Rejuvenex Arthritis Pain Clinics. We're in-network with most major insurance plans, including Medicare and Medicaid. We can alleviate your pain, and that'll rejuvenate your life. It's pain relief, really.
Rejuvenex. Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Go to rejuvenex.com to request your appointment.
Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
The goat rope in Washington, D.C. continues, and if I sound frustrated, it's because I am, as House Republicans, not all of them, but a handful of them, continue to beclown themselves. So, here, let's kind of go back 3 weeks. The House Speaker, Kevin McCarthy, is ousted by a gang of 8. 8 Republicans who decided they wanted to get rid of McCarthy, so they get rid of McCarthy. But in the classic example of the ready, fire, aim concept, they get rid of McCarthy, but there's no plan as to what you can do next. So meanwhile, the House becomes paralyzed. So then the Republicans decide, okay, well, our plan B is Steve Scalise. They meet, majority votes for him, but then he doesn't have enough votes because some of the people who again said they wouldn't support him in caucus, they won't vote for him. So then Jim Jordan, who was the guy that orchestrated a lot of this stuff, he's the next guy up. And a lot of the moderate Republicans finally said, hey, we're not going to reward this guy. This guy's been a legislative terrorist for years. Meanwhile, Congress cannot meet. And by the way, look at what's going on in the world. You've got the mess in the Middle East. We'll talk about that in the next hour of the program. You've got, China threatening Taiwan. You've got the war in Ukraine. And the House can't meet because the Republicans cannot get their act together. So what happened is, starting last night, there were like 9 people who wanted to be the Speaker of the House. Why you would want that job, I don't know. So they had an elimination process. Everybody made their pitches, and then today the Republicans had these secret ballots, and they kind of winnowed the field. So they have now chosen House Majority Whip Tom Emmer, who is a conservative, but a more moderate conservative than some. He's from Minnesota. So, the effort is, okay, we're going to end this. But here's the problem. As long as you have a couple Republicans who are, I guess, still, I'm not getting my way and it's not my guy, unless they kind of come in and pretty much all of them, I think they can lose 4 votes, vote for Emmer, you're right back at square one. And I think some of the initial concept is that a number of the people who've been obstructing this whole process along the way, they're not going to go with the wishes of a majority of their colleagues, and they're ready to shoot down Emmer. So I don't know if this is going to go to the House floor today or tomorrow, but once again, you've got these Republicans, just a handful of them, who are willing to paralyze the government without really any plan in sight. Now, one of the things I've preached for all the years I've been on the air is before you take an action, you should be able to, and you should anticipate, okay, what's going to happen next? And it doesn't matter, world of sports. We're going to trade Josh Hader. okay, what's going to happen next? We're going to dump the Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy. Okay, what's going to happen next? Who are you going to replace him with? All those different things. Hey, we're going to, we're going to go in and get involved in a military battle, a military conflict in Vietnam. Okay, what's the exit strategy? What's going to happen next? You always, I think, to be responsible, have to figure out, where do we go? If I get what I want, what is going to happen next? And it's very clear that these Republicans, this gang of 8 that unseated Kevin McCarthy, they had no clue of what was going to come next. They just did it to create, turmoil. They've succeeded in creating turmoil. They've succeeded in making Republicans look collectively like the gang that couldn't shoot straight. Now, the Wisconsin Republican congressional delegation, 5 members, I give them credit because I know that some of the people that have emerged have not been the first choice of some of them, but they've been committed. It's okay, look, if the majority of the caucus wants candidate X, we will support them. If the majority of the caucus wants candidate Y, we will support them. That's the way this stuff is supposed to work, and we're not going to have the House, again, paralyzed. The Republicans look absolutely awful, and I don't know what the end game here is, and I don't know what some people think that they are accomplishing at a time when there are serious issues that need to be addressed. And every time these Republicans, the ones that have decided to obstruct, okay, we're not going to vote for this person or we're not going to vote for that person, we got to go back to square one. Every time they do that, they, I think, hurt the Republican Party. Now, the big beef against Emmer, at least in the minds of some, is the fact that he was one of the legislators who did not vote against decertifying the election. In other words, when there was the challenge, should we not allow, should Donald Trump essentially be elevated to president? Should we refuse to certify the results of the election? Emmer certified the results of the election. So that got him on the wrong side of Trump and some other people because he said, look, I think Trump lost the election and I'm not going to stall this anymore. To me, that was the right, responsible thing to do. But again, it's created some problems along the way. And some people say, well, he's not sufficiently Trumpish enough. And Trump is apparently against the guy. You got to make a decision. You got to move on. Emmer is as good as anybody. And if he gets shot down and the Republicans go back to square one, I'm shaking my head about this whole thing. So at least as it stands now, another candidate has come forward, but the goat rope continues. When we come back, all right, how do you define winning? I got 2 examples of that. Don't go anywhere.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
Vince Vitrano here from Wisconsin's Morning News, reminding you to subscribe to the Wisconsin's Morning News podcast. We update it every day with every segment, every interview, and every bit we do on the show. Wait, we don't do bits on the show.
If my intelligence is artificial, then why am I smarter than you?
Absolutely boat race. Let's go! Come on, let's go!
All right, maybe we do some bits.
F you.
Subscribe to the Wisconsin's Morning News podcast wherever you get your podcasts or listen live on WTMJ.com.
Disability Rights Wisconsin's Medicare Part D helpline is here to help disabled or elderly Medicare beneficiaries with questions about their Part D prescription benefit. The Part D helpline may be able to help you save money on your Part D premium, deductible, and copays. Medicare annual open enrollment period runs October 15th through December 7th. For free, unbiased assistance, please call the Disability Rights Wisconsin Medicare Part D helpline any time of the year at 1-800-926-4862. 1-800-926-4862.
Home is where the heart is. Family meals, laughter, and warm memories. As your local contractor that's been around for 40 years, J&J Contractors has been helping families create new memories for generations to come by reimagining your kitchen space for baking holiday cookies with the family or opening up your lower level for friend and neighbor entertainment. Whatever the project is, J&J Contractors does it with top-of-the-line craftsmanship. Just Google J&J Contractors to see their reviews for impeccable work and outstanding communication.
If you like using debit over credit, don't you think it's time you also get rewarded with Discover Cash Back Debit? Check out eligibility and terms at discover.com/cashback debit. Discover Bank, member FDIC.
Champagne's not as cheap as ginger ale, and you can't buy caviar for the same price as candy.
But right now, you can buy high-end Beautyrest and Sealy Posturepedic mattresses for nowhere near high-end prices. Hassellus Mattress is clearing out a handful of premium floor models, like the Sealy Posturepedic Glendale Falls Queen. Was on sale for $955, now just $362. Only a few remain, and they will sell out. Find a self-service, employee-free showroom near you at hassellus.com.
ESPN Wisconsin's Mark Tauscher here for my friends at Kohler Services. Have you been thinking of updating your bath or shower? Well, Kohler Services is a local end-to-end bath and shower design and remodel service brought to you by Kohler, a family-owned business in Wisconsin for 150 years. Kohler is the only manufacturer offering fast, professional installation and care for life. Start enjoying your bath or shower right now with a special offer. Visit KohlerServicesWI.com to request your free quote and tell them that I sent you. Again, that's KohlerServicesWI.com.
If you can't get a good night's sleep, let me ask you, are you breathing well? Because if you're snoring or waking up each night with a stuffed up nose, or frustrated with your CPAP mask, the root of your sleep problem lies in your breathing triangle. And if any one of those passages isn't working, you won't sleep well, and there's no mattress, pill, or other gimmick that can fix that. I'm Dr. Madan Kandula. A recipe for a good night's sleep starts with an open airway. Now, there are devices that can help solve snoring or sleep apnea problems. If you walk into a sleep center, know you'll walk out with a CPAP. And you might find other options elsewhere. But the simple truth is, if your nose doesn't work properly, no device will help. Only at Advent will you find every effective snoring and sleep apnea solution, along with a world-class team that can get your nose working properly again.
Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee. From the Annex Wealth Management Studios, this is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station. Your hometown hub for everything that matters. The latest news, traffic, weather, and sports on Wisconsin's radio station. News Radio 620 WTMJ, Milwaukee.
At 101, it's 71 degrees, some sunshine, wind, very warm today with a high of 77. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Greg Matzik. Tom Emmer, a Republican congressman from Minnesota who serves as the House Majority Whip, is the candidate for Speaker of the House. Republicans elect Emmer in a secret ballot behind closed doors today. Now, Emmer needs 217 votes to become the next Speaker. ABC's Jay O'Brien on Capitol Hill says lawmakers will now vote amongst themselves before a full House vote.
Typically, the last two Speaker nominees, Steve Scalise and Jim Jordan, who both failed to secure the votes they needed, were elected via secret ballot, and that was it. On this, the third Speaker nominee now, Republicans added another measure, one more, that you have to have a roll call vote now behind closed doors, which is exactly what transpires on the floor. The name of the member is called, and they vocalize who they're going to vote for.
Emmer is one of a handful of Republicans who voted to certify the results of the 2020 election, which was the reason why moderate Republicans rejected Jim Jordan's bid. A new partnership between the Milwaukee Public Museum and Culver's.
Milwaukee is the capital for frozen custard.
Culver's co-founder Craig Culver announcing a $1 million donation towards the future Milwaukee Public Museum's Milwaukee Revealed Gallery. That gallery will feature a frozen custard shop complete with custard machine. Now, it won't actually make real custard, and museum senior VP of Development Julie Quinlan Brum explains why.
Throughout that Milwaukee Revealed exhibit will be real objects from the Milwaukee Public Museum's collection, so we can't have food getting all over them and destroying that history.
Adam Roberts, WTMJ News.
Well, national recognition for a principal in Brookfield. Brookfield East High School principal Andy Farley wins the award, National Principal of the Year, from the National Association of Secondary School Principals. During Farley's decade-long tenure as principal, Brookfield East is consistently named among Wisconsin's top public high schools. He tells Wisconsin's Afternoon News,
"Our mission has always been a commitment to academic and human excellence, and I think the award certainly is celebratory for our staff and students that all kids have the power and the ability to do well here."
Under Farley's leadership, Brookfield East's Hope Squad developed student leaders to serve as ambassadors for wellness throughout the school, community, and region. And Bucks superstar Giannis Antetokounmpo is staying put, locking a $160 million contract extension through 2029. Could have made a little more money had he waited to sign the extension. Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel's Lori Nickel.
Money is not important to him, but his foundation is very important to him, and the things that he wants to do with that foundation long term in terms of charity and community efforts will take a lot of money, and he kind of wants to finance that a lot on his own. So the difference between $186 million, which he got, and what he could have had, $250 million on upwards, it's interesting.
The regular season begins for the Bucks on Thursday at home against the 76ers. Time for news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. All the indices in the green today. The Dow currently up 131 points at 33,067.49. S&P 500 about 16 points in the green today at 42.33 and change. The Nasdaq is also up 61.5 points at 1379.34. News sponsored by Annex Wealth Management's Money Talk. Check it out Saturdays at 10 here on WTMJ. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time is 1:04.
This report is sponsored by the White Lace Inn, Door County. Perfect for a birthday or anniversary gift.
Hello, Dennis from White Lace Inn here in beautiful Door County. White Lace Inn has been providing gracious elegance, sincere hospitality, and relaxing getaways since 1982. Wander garden pathways that connect each of the 4 Victorian homes. 18 rooms and suites that make up White Lace Inn. White Lace Inn is just minutes away from restaurants, museums, shopping, hiking, bike trails, and all of Door County. When evening comes, return to White Lace Inn, relax in front of a romantic fireplace, and step into an inviting whirlpool bath for 2. Then climb into a luxurious bed for the night. The next morning, enjoy a delicious White Lace Inn breakfast, served with Door County coffee. White Lace Inn, consistently voted one of the most romantic inns of America. Whether it's a relaxing getaway, birthday, anniversary, honeymoon, or small destination wedding, amazing memories are waiting you at White Lace Inn. Open every night of the year. To find out more, take a tour at whitelaceinn.com. That's whitelaceinn.com.
This is Matt Meitner, owner of Sit Means Sit Dog Training. Do you find yourself talking to your dog but feel like she's not listening to you?
Bella, sit!
Are you constantly repeating yourself but she's not following your directions?
Sit! Sit!
Frustrating, isn't it? At Sit Means Sit Dog Training, we want to help you have a happy, confident, and obedient dog, and we also want to make the training process an enjoyable and worthwhile experience. Contact Sit Means Sit today to schedule a free consultation so we can create a customized training program so you are able to have the dog you want and deserve.
Sit Means Sit Dog Training. Sorry, we don't train husbands, wives, or kids.
Hi, John McGivern here. Did you know Network Health has Medicare Advantage plans that give you $25 a month back towards your Medicare Part B premium? That's $300 a year back in your pocket. Isn't that great? Call 833-7-NETWORK to learn more today. Network Health Medicare Advantage plans include PPO plans with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in Network Health Medicare Advantage plans depends on contract renewal. Certain restrictions apply to the Part B giveback. Visit networkhealth.com/Medicare/extra benefits for details.
Bucks fans everywhere have reason to celebrate today. According to ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski, Giannis and Milwaukee have agreed to a 3-year, $186 million contract extension on Monday. Bucks president Peter Fagan speaking on the offseason that was had in Milwaukee.
And this is injecting some found enthusiasm in what was already a championship-level team and kind of, upping the expectations.
The Bucks will officially open their season on Thursday night against the Philadelphia 76ers. The Texas Rangers will await the winner of the NLCS as they go on for the Game 7 11-4 win on Monday night against the Houston Astros. Philly and Arizona will face off with a Game 7 tonight. Game 1 of the World Series will begin on Friday in Texas. Week 7 of the NFL concluded on Monday night as the Vikings took down the Niners by a final score of 22-17. The Packers will play host to Minnesota, who have won their last 2 games this upcoming Sunday at Lambeau Field. And lastly, Wisconsin redshirt freshman quarterback Brady Locke was named Big Ten Freshman of the Week on Monday. I'm Brandon Snide, WTMJ Sports.
Time for a look at your roads. A Johnson & Sons paving time-saver traffic update. Pretty standard travel times across the system. Southbound 41, Highway Q to the Zoo. Your typical delays there. That's going to run you 14, given the construction that is actually on time. No other accidents on the system to report this afternoon.
Traffic is sponsored by Hall Mazda Milwaukee. Visit hallmazdamilwaukee.com.
Help fellow commuters. See an accident? Call the WTMJ Hall Mazda Traffic Tip Line, 414-238-9329. Visit Hall Mazda to support their Drive Out Cancer event.
Well, there's some rain up north, but way north, a little north of Stevens Point in the Green Bay area. Slight chance for storms in the northern part of our listening area today. Otherwise, a high of 77, windy and warm. Tonight, showers likely with a low of 60, up to 68 tomorrow with morning showers likely, paving way to mostly cloudy skies with breezy conditions. It is currently in Madison, 73 degrees. In Green Bay, it's 66. Waukesha, 73. 71 degrees at the Avenue. Siding Unlimited WTMJ News Time is 1:09.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Now, here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
Good afternoon, Wisconsin. Welcome back to the show. Greg Matzik, I want to give you a shout out because I've always believed that clarity is important. And right before the newscast, I was trying to describe why some people don't like Tom Emmer, who's a very, very conservative representative. But I was saying, well, he voted against decertifying the 2020 election. And that is correct. But you stated it more clearly, that he voted to certify the election. That's what happened. And so that explains it. They were just mad. The bottom line is, you got some Republicans are mad because he didn't do enough, in their opinion, to stop Joe Biden from becoming the president.
Isn't this an interesting time in our country? Where Republicans are fighting with Republicans. They oust the Senate or the House Speaker, and now we're in this weird tailspin.
With no plan to replace him. I mean, it's like I described it. It's ready, fire, aim. Okay, all right. We've got McCarthy going. Okay, what's going to happen next? Well, okay, this is the guy. No, we don't want him. No, we don't want him. And I'm not sure there's any end to it, because, what historically would happen is Democrats or Republicans get together in their caucus. There's always a couple people who are running. Greg Matzik gets the majority, gets more votes than Jeff Wagner. So everybody says, okay, we're going to go on the House floor and everybody's going to vote for Matzik, even though Wagner might have been their first choice. Okay, the party has spoken. This is who we're going to vote for. That's not what some of these people are doing.
No.
And the problem is, there's many problems, but when you only have like a 4 or 5 vote majority to work with, all you need is a handful of people who refuse to go along. And they can stymie the thing, but these people that are refusing to go along, there's no end game. It's okay, what do you want? And nobody knows the answer.
So 9 candidates, right, prior to today's vote. Are we sure they all wanted it?
Well, no,
right. I mean, isn't this this is a very interesting position? I don't know that I ever would have classified this job as the worst in the world, but a GOP member did classify this position as the worst job in the world. You do not want this.
Well, there's a real interesting piece I read the New York Times and the Washington Post, so you don't have to, but they describe the Republican factions now as the 5 families. There's like a reference to like the mafia families, and that were competing with each other for years and years. You've got the hardcore, like the Freedom Caucus that doesn't want anything, and the bomb throwers, and then there's the pro-business caucus, and then there's these different groups. And the problem, like Kevin McCarthy, the last speaker, had, you try to keep all these groups happy, but it's like herding cats, and sooner or later, you end up, and plus there were a couple people who just didn't like McCarthy, and this Matt Gaetz, and they just decide, okay, that they're going to use their power to unseat him, but nobody has a clue as to what comes next.
Hey, what's the lesson there? You try and keep everybody happy, and then nobody's happy.
Right, exactly. People keep saying, hey, in retirement, are you planning to move to Florida, becoming a state resident? I said, well, that's not on my agenda right now. Although one thing that would motivate me to not leave Wisconsin permanently, but that's 6 months and a day, would be if Matt Gaetz runs in the Republican primary for governor in 2026. I'm changing my residency to Florida so I can vote against him. Forget the tax break. Forget the tax break. Forget any of that stuff. I'm doing it just for that. Yeah. But we live in interesting times.
Well, no doubt about that. I do often wonder what other countries just kind of focused on the political climate in the United States really think. It's the greatest country in the world. Sometimes I think about where we could be.
Well, right. And the truth is, I mean, you can look at all sorts of other countries as well, and they're pretty screwed up. They're pretty screwed up too.
Everyone's got their things.
Everybody's got their things,
no doubt.
Right? It's just that this is a frustrating thing to see play out in the one remaining superpower in this country. And given all the real issues that are going on, whether it's the tensions in the Middle East or, China and what is China going to do with Taiwan, or by the way, Russia invading Ukraine, all this stuff, plus the economy and all these things, you'd like to have a government that even if it's dysfunctional, you'd like to have a government that functions. And right now, the House isn't functioning at all. Go figure.
And that's why you're able to fill a 3-hour talk show every day, right? No doubt about that.
Exactly. Well, I would sometimes you just take, somebody says to me, for all these years, have you ever had trouble like filling the time? And I said, no, there's never been a shortage of stuff to talk about. I've been kind of reflective about this. I started in what I think is kind of the golden age of talk radio. And Milwaukee has a very, very vibrant talk radio market. I've always believed that I listen to talk radio from all across the country, and I will stack up what we have done here in the last couple of decades against any place in the country. You listen to some talk shows in some of these other communities, and they're
pretty rough, right?
It's just like, okay. But I mean, I'm just kind of thinking, just since I started at the, you had the Clinton-Lewinsky stuff, and then you had the Bush-Gore 2000 election that was just kind of open-ended for a couple months, decided by the Supreme Court ultimately, and then there was the Milwaukee County pension scandal, and then there was 9/11, and then there was the war in Iraq. I mean, that was all in the first couple of years I started doing it full time, and thankfully, I found an audience because of those things. But it's just amazing the issues that have had over the last couple of decades.
Consistent, that's for sure.
That's it. All right. So in any event, Greg, going back to where we started, yes, you were much more clear about that. The reason some people don't like Emmer is because he voted to certify the 2020 election, acknowledging what we all acknowledge, or at least most of us should acknowledge, and that is that Joe Biden is the president of the United States. And if the Republicans don't get their act together, Joe Biden will be at the age of 82 reelected for another 4-year term. And that should be a cautionary tale. Okay. I want to talk about the Middle East. And here's a couple of frustrations. So Hamas, the terrorist group that operates in Gaza, that started this entire mess by launching a vicious surprise attack, killing over 1,000 Israelis and taking a couple hundred hostages who are now being held in a maze of underground tunnels in Gaza. Okay, so Hamas, they're holding all these hostages. Hamas releases a couple hostages, and I was watching some of the news coverage yesterday, and I admit I'm yelling at the television set because it's like, well, Hamas has released a couple hostages, and there's some people saying, oh, this is good. They took the hostages in the first place. I mean, okay, yes, it is a good thing that they released a couple hostages. That is a plus. I am glad of that. But they still have in the neighborhood of 200 people, including some Americans, who are being held hostage by this militant group. So anyhow, there's these international calls for a ceasefire. All right, what we need to do is Israel, and I think it's the United States that's been holding Israel back from going in and putting ground troops into Gaza. Because first of all, urban warfare is just going to be a nightmare, and there's going to be lots of civilian casualties, and it's going to further inflame the region. So the United States has been discouraging Israel from actually going in with ground troops, but I don't know how long they're going to hold them back. Israel has continued bombing. And yes, they take out Hamas targets, but along with that, because Hamas operates in civilian buildings. Hey, it's a mosque. Okay, this is where people worship, but it's also where Hamas operates its terrorist attacks out of. All right, you bomb the mosque, well, there's going to be civilian casualties. So anyhow, there's all these pushes. We need a ceasefire. We need a ceasefire. And Joe Biden wades into this yesterday. And by the way, I am as critical of anybody as Joe Biden. But I honestly, I don't think the way he's handled the war in Ukraine has been bad. And I've said that before, and I understand some of you disagree with me, but that's how I feel. But also, I mean, what Biden is trying to do in the Middle East is say, okay, first of all, the United States stands with Israel, which I think is the right approach to take. But secondly, he is trying to prevent what is going on now from blowing up into World War III. And that's, he's trying to say, okay, look, I don't want Hezbollah attacking Israel from the north, because that's going to escalate this. I don't want Iran, which is agitating all this stuff. I don't want, them to get involved as a player. He's trying his best to, again, make sure what is a very, very bad situation doesn't get worse. So one of the questions is, some people are saying, okay, the role of the U.S. should be to try to negotiate a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. And Biden, it was kind of interesting because here's what Biden says. He says, look, first of all, no ceasefire, and we're not going to push for a ceasefire until the hostages are released. He says yesterday, we should have these hostages released, and then we can talk. But until they release the hostages, it's not going to happen. The Secretary of State says any ceasefire would give Hamas the ability to rest, to refit, and get ready to continue launching terrorist attacks against Israel. You can understand perfectly clearly why it's an intolerable situation for Israel, as it would be an intolerable situation for any country that has suffered such a brutal terrorist attack. And so that's the big concern about ceasefire. But to begin with, Biden says, we're not even going to entertain this while you are holding hostages. Our number is 855-616-1620. That's the Accunet Mortgage talk and text line. Aaron, you can mark the tape on this one. I think Biden is exactly right. I think this is the approach that you have to take, that while they are holding hostages, we're not going to be pushing Israel to do a ceasefire. We don't expect Israel to do a ceasefire. You got to, as a starting point, you want us to try to negotiate some sort of resolution. We're not even coming to the table as long as you are holding 200 people as prisoners. 855-616-1620. I think that's the right approach. What do you think? We discuss in a moment.
More Jeff Wagner right after this. Every day, it seems like there's always something new going on in the world of politics. Join WTMJ now for the Political Power Hour. Bill McCoshen.
The first lesson I learned when I worked for Governor Thompson is never give away power.
And Joe Zepecki.
I'm often accused of being the Eeyore on this panel, so let's try to find a silver lining.
Will help make sense of today's political headlines.
He's the guy that sits in the front of the class and always has an answer for something, and you're like, sit down and shut up.
I thought you were that guy.
No.
It's the Political Power Hour on WTMJ.
This is the year to buy the woman you love a big anniversary diamond.
What's a big anniversary diamond?
A big anniversary diamond is any diamond that's at least twice as big as the one in her engagement ring.
Why twice as big?
A big anniversary diamond says, I love you twice as much today as the day I married you.
People are always so happy when they see the price we can give them.
Kessler's has wonderful prices on 1 carat, carat and a half, 2 carat, and 3 carat big anniversary diamonds.
People will ask you about your big diamond everywhere you go.
So big anniversary diamonds are the hot new trend?
It began with men buying big anniversary diamonds for the women they love. But now it's gone to a whole new level.
Women are now buying big anniversary diamonds for their men.
Women are saying, 2 can play that game.
I like games that 2 can play.
Everybody likes games that 2 can play.
Welcome to Kessler's.
For the location nearest you, go to KesslersDiamonds.com.
Accunet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
Steve and Ashley heard our radio ads over the years, and when it came time to buy their first home, clicked on the blue button back in June. Senior loan consultant Brad Kramer issued a credit-verified pre-approval the same day, and then upgraded to a rock-solid, fully verified and guaranteed pre-approval shortly thereafter. Well, they made a couple offers without success, and then Brad told them about our brand new property-specific pre-approval letter, where we might be able to include those magic words, no appraisal required. When they wrote their next offer at $30,000 over asking to make sure someone else didn't end up sleeping in their dream home, their updated rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval included the phrase that pays in the eyes and ears of the seller, and that translated to donedeal.com. If you think all mortgage companies and pre-approvals are the same, think again. Go with the local mortgage lender that has the tools and the know-how to help you win and save you money, too. Click on the blue button today at accunet.com.
You're listening to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
855-616-1620, which is the Old National Bank talk and text line. I think Joe Biden's got this exactly right. And I'm very, very critical of Joe Biden and Bidenomics and what he's done to the economy. And I think it would be a disaster for this country if he were reelected for another 4-year term. But having said that, I think, yesterday, first of all, I think his position to say we stand with Israel is the morally correct position. It is the smart diplomatic position to take. And I understand that he gets himself in some trouble with some of the far left in the Democrat Party who, again, see moral equivalence and don't support the existence of Israel. So I think, they're wrong there. So I applaud him for that. But also, I think the right approach to take is, right, for everybody pushing for a ceasefire, Hamas, which is a terrorist group, is holding 200 people hostage. You do not negotiate with terrorists. And if you want the bombing to stop, if you want to even talk about a ceasefire, first thing you do is you turn over the terrorists. And the terrorists turn over the people they're holding as hostage. And for people in Gaza, and I believe the majority of the people in Gaza don't support what Hamas is doing, well, maybe it's now time to step forward and it's time to start providing information and identifying where hostages are being held. So, there's some intelligence that helps you go get them. But if Hamas wants the bombing to stop, if they want a ceasefire, the first thing they need to do is turn loose the 200 plus people that are being held hostage. Mike in Illinois. Mike, you're first. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Jeff. How are you?
Good. What do you think?
I agree 110%. I have agreed with Biden, ever since Ukraine started, and I think he's definitely doing the right thing here. Quite frankly, I think Palestine is lucky that Israel is allowing humanitarian aid in, because they could easily just say no, and people would really be looking at Hamas as the problem. But yeah, I'm totally on board with what Biden is doing with the hostages.
Yeah, no, thanks for, and that's exactly what they are. These are not prisoners of war; these are hostages, they took men and women and children. They took senior citizens. They were indiscriminate as to taking hostages, and now they're hidden in tunnels, underneath the various buildings running through Gaza. You have no idea what's being done to these various people, their release. There are certain red lines that you have. I remember, Obama, he said he drew a red line. He drew his line in the sand with Syria, no chemical warfare, no chemical attacks. Syria does it, and he ignored it. And then, I know what I said. You can't do that. In this case, if no ceasefire is a precondition if the precondition before you start talking about ceasefire is that we're going to be in a situation where we demand the return of the hostages, well, that's fine, but that's what they have to do. And I think when you deal with these, and look, let's understand what the end game is. And I think most of the civilized world understands that the end game is ultimately Hamas has got to be removed. You have to root out the terrorists that are in Gaza. And then what do you replace them with? Well, maybe it's a two-state government. I don't know. That's something that goes back to the idea of you have to figure out what comes next. But I think most of the civilized world recognizes that Israel cannot allow Hamas to continue to operate, because they will. Hamas is committed to, they don't want a peaceful solution. They want to take Israel, the land, and they want to kill Jews. That's what they want to do. That's what this jihad is all about. And until Hamas is destroyed as an entity, there's always going to be that threat. So that's ultimately the end game. But as far as, at least at first, negotiating a ceasefire or something, you got to get the hostages back. So right now, the United States is doing everything it can to hold off the ground war, in part because that will escalate. And secondly, again, Hamas, you got to understand, I think people just don't get what Gaza is. Gaza, 2+ million people crammed into a 20-mile long, at its widest, it's like 7.5-mile strip. I mean, it's this narrow strip. You got 2.5 million people. There's high-rise building after high-rise building. So if you do a ground war, understand you're going building by building. You have, the Hamas terrorists who'll be shooting down at you. You'll have civilians in the middle of this. I mean, launching an urban war like this is just, the cost in lives is going to be just absolutely catastrophic. So if there's anything else you can do to avoid that, I think that you want to try to explore that. But you got to understand that Hamas at the end of the day has to go. But the first thing, you want to stop the bombing. You want to talk about a ceasefire. You want to talk about negotiating. The hostages have to be turned loose. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner, WTMJ.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
Your weekly Bucks breakdown is back.
They want to win equally as bad as I do.
Bucks Weekly on WTMJ.
Now he joins a team where you have, as he has put it, the best player in the league.
And a new year brings new faces.
You'll see that I've gotten better year after year after year after year.
Get the latest news, analysis, and insight on your Milwaukee Bucks all season long. Bucks Weekly with Justin Garcia every Monday night at 8 on WTMJ. And catch the podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
Leave low yields in the dust and never look back. Rev up your return on investment with Syngenta. Our innovative portfolio of crop protection products outperforms and out-yields any deal, giving you higher yield and profit potential at the finish line. Syngenta, where better yield is the better deal. Always read and follow label instructions.
All right, let's see here. Acuron corn herbicide. Powerful weed control? Check. Long-lasting residual? Check. Proven crop safety? Check. Acuron checks all the boxes, which is why it outperforms and out-yields all other corn herbicides by 5 to 15 bushels an acre. Talk to your local Syngenta retailer or visit findmorebushels.com to discover your revenue potential today. Always read and follow label instructions. Acuron is a restricted-use pesticide.
At Semper Fi, we wholeheartedly believe that our reputation is everything. And around the office and work sites, I like to say that our reputation is like the little campfire we all huddle around for life. And every time we produce a project, we all have to take a little piece of that fire, and it's our responsibility to keep it going. Every time we keep a promise, it fuels the fire. Every time we deliver on an expectation, it fuels the fire. We started out as a mom-and-pop roofing shop, and the reputation we've built and our commitment to it has made us into the company we are today. I've found that people really value a company that truly cares about their reputation, and I know that it attracts the kind of like-minded individuals that we're proud to have on our team. At Semper Fi, we work hard not to tarnish our reputation, and that's what will make your decision to work with us one you won't regret. We're Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, and you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry, Semper Fi.
Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Okay, I've been waiting all day to have this particular conversation. The headline, the story comes from USA Today, but don't hold that against the story. Here's the headline, caught my attention. Trump is a jerk. Nobody likes him. Then, that's in quotation marks. Then 3 reasons New Hampshire voters are sticking with him. So Trump does this rally in New Hampshire the other night, and people line up for this. And so USA Today goes and interview people in New Hampshire who are lining up for the event, and they say, okay, you realize that you had. After the 2020 election, you had the election denial. You had all these people who've been convicted of crimes themselves. You've got Donald Trump, who himself is looking at 4 separate indictments in these ongoing trials. What is it? Tell me why it is that you support him, and why is it that despite all these different things, that you're going to vote for him? And my favorite thing is, they quote this lady, Kathleen Harvey, 73-year-old resident of Epping, New Hampshire, wherever that is. She says, this is a quotation. This is not me. This is him. This is her saying it. I mean, he's a jerk. Nobody likes him. However, she believes he was one of the U.S.'s best presidents. He's taken care of everything that he promised he was going to take care of, and I felt safe while he was the president. He's a jerk. Nobody likes him, but we are going to support him. And then the story goes on to break down some of the reasons that people give, including, concerns about the economy, people believing in America first now more than ever, some people seeing Trump as a man of the people. All right, now, if you're a regular listener to this program, you know where I stand on this. I think Donald Trump did a fine job as president. I think the stuff, I didn't like all the chaos and all that sort of stuff. I think the reality is what has happened since then has made him unelectable. I understand that if you look at some polls comparing him to Biden, you might think it's competitive. But at the end of the day, I just don't think that a lot of the people that didn't vote for him in 2020, I don't think that they're going to change their minds and vote for him in 2024. Maybe I'm going to be wrong, but that's not how I see it. And that's why I think, Republicans to nominate Donald Trump again is just a recipe for 4 more years of Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, whoever else that's going to be. But nevertheless, I understand that Trump has some, I don't know how wide it is, but he does have some very, very, deep support. So what I want to do in this segment, based on this, is, like I say, the lady says he's a jerk. Nobody likes him, but we're going to support him. So 855-616-1620. That is the Old National Bank talk and text line. For those of you who want to see Donald Trump be the Republican nominee, who want to see Donald Trump elected president again, okay, my question is a simple one. Why? What is it that makes you say, okay, I want to support Trump with all the baggage that's out there over a Nikki Haley or a Ron DeSantis or, a Tim Scott or, fill in the blank, a Mike Pence or, whoever that might be, Chris Christie. Why is it that given all the baggage that's out there, that Trump is the choice? 855-616-1620, because I confess I do not get it. Even if you think that Donald Trump was the greatest thing since canned beer and the greatest president in your lifetime, even if you don't mind all the stuff, yes, my question is, can't you find the Trump populist policies in one of the many candidates who are out there, but people who don't have the baggage that Trump has? 855-616-1620. Trump's a jerk. Nobody likes him, but we're going to vote for him anyways. We discuss in just a moment.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano for Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Team Pella executing incredible plays. Products with limited lifetime warranties. Amazing innovations. Blinds and shades between the glass. Stylish windows with hidden screens that make game days a breeze. Installation completed in as little as a day, leaving no mess or hassle. Just perfect results. Schedule your free consultation today at PellaWI.com. 6.99 APR for 120 months. Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Offers end 10/31/23.
Here's a penny for your thoughts. There's about 11,000 tire-related crashes every year.
Mostly due to driving around on underinflated, beat-up, worn-out tires with low tread.
A couple of clicks at richlawns.com will get you scheduled for a free tire tread test.
But if you're pressed for time, there's an old trick we use in the tire industry that'll tell you if you need tires.
And that's free, too.
My dad showed me, who learned it from his dad, who learned it from someone else way back in 1964.
Ah, yes. The old penny test.
Yep, just place a penny head first.
As in upside down.
Into the groove of your tire. Now, if you can see the top of Lincoln's head, you're due for tires.
And hey, if the free penny test frazzles you, book an appointment at richlawns.com.
If your tires are good,
no harm, no foul, because it won't cost you a penny. Be safe, buckle up, and hang. Always make sure you've got good tread on your tires. I'm Brett Matchke with Rich Lawns. You're
due for service.
Such a refreshing change. Rich Lawns.
Hi, John McGivern here. Did you know Network Health Medicare Advantage plans start at $0 a month? And you can get the extra benefits you need, like dental, vision, over-the-counter items, and more? I know because I'm a member myself. Call 833-7-NETWORK to learn more today. Network Health Medicare Advantage plans include PPO plans with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in Network Health Medicare Advantage plans depends on contract renewal.
This is Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
855-616-1620. Jeff, I agree with the lady. He's a jerk. but I think he was the best president ever. The more they go after him, the more I like him. Some of us see this witch hunt for what it is. Jeff, the Republican base is too brainwashed by right-wing media, including but not limited to Fox, to consider other Republican presidential candidates. Jeff, I vote Trump simply because the other side is for funding foreign wars, creating 7 different bathrooms, drag shows and daycares, free health care, and a 60% obese population, open borders, defunding the police. Okay, I guess my comment, again, going back, though, would be if you support a lot of the Trump policies, there are other candidates out there who I don't think would be any materially different, but don't have a lot of the baggage. But at least some people aren't apparently even willing to consider those candidates. 855-616-1620. Let's start with Jack in Caledonia. Hi, Jack. You're on WTMJ.
Hi, it's a good day today. As far as Trump is concerned, everything you said is spot on. The thing people have to understand is that he has been correct on everything that he's passed or passed legislation for. Okay, he reduced taxes. He got the oil industry. You know, he removed a lot of the EPA stranglehold on companies. He got the economy going, and it's all because of his instincts. You know, he's been in business. You know, been doing billion-dollar stuff for years. And I think he's just used that experience to make good decisions. He also surrounds himself with relatively smart people. Now, I know at the beginning he had a couple guys that were kind of loose cannons, and they got rid of them. But for the most part, his financial advisors and everybody, military advisors, all were spot on. And they gave him, hey, here's a scenario. What do you want us to do? And he'd say, this is the way we should go. And it all turned out well. I mean, we had a booming economy. We had more people working in every ethnic group than in history.
Does the behavior after the 2020 election, the January 6th stuff, the election denial and things like that, does that give you pause or not really?
Not at all. Not at all. I'm in the camp that there was so much election fraud. Okay, and people, if you just look at when he said the election was rigged, okay? And then a few years later, we find out that the FBI, under the guise of the Biden campaign, were working with big tech to censor stories on Hunter Biden, to censor other detrimental stories about Joe Biden, okay? And that's rigging an election. That's election engineering. And for people that don't think that's a criminal behavior, okay, they don't know election law. Okay,
good. Okay, Jack. Got it. No, I'm sorry. I got a lot of calls. I apologize. I didn't mean to cut you off, and I'm not. I posed a question. I'm certainly not going to argue with people about that. But I was intrigued by, again, the story. 855-616-1620. Jeff, Trump is a jerk. No denying it. But I'm not hanging out with him. I want him to run the country. I agree with his policy on border control, equal trade tariffs, lower taxes, less government. Jeff, I voted for Trump twice. I'll vote for someone else in the primaries, but I'd vote for him if he was the nominee. I think he was a good president. Lots of candidates have espoused Trump's policies but never delivered. Trump delivered on his promises. If he had been treated fairly by the press, none of the current baloney is happening. Well, there's no question that the press created Donald Trump and then turned on him immediately. But there's also, I think, no question that Trump is, in many respects, he's his own worst enemy. I tell that story all the time. I mean, the thing that, you decide, okay, today we're going to focus on education funding. And he wakes up at 3 o'clock in the morning and gets a wild hair up a certain part of his anatomy and then starts sending out, tweets about something. And then you're completely off message. And so, but I understand that. 855-616-1620. Carolyn in Brookfield, you're on WTMJ. Good afternoon.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi,
Thanks
Carolyn.
so much for taking my call.
Thanks for calling.
What a great subject. Do you mind if I just jump right in and give you my opinion?
No, that's why, Carol, I'm glad you called. What do you think? Give me your opinion.
Good. Well, listen, I will definitely vote for Donald Trump again if, in fact, he is our candidate. I have seen him personally. I obviously haven't met him personally. I would have liked to have met him. But his leadership skills are second to none. in my opinion, in my husband's opinion, I'm not speaking for everyone, I 100% agree with your previous caller, the gentleman who talked about how fiscally sound we were as a country. We had jobs. Well, we do. We still have jobs, but we had people working. Where are all the people now? After COVID is over, we are minus people. We can't find anybody to work anymore. So I guess what I appreciate the most with the Trump administration is how fiscally sound we were as a country. And our stocks went up. Mm-hmm. He is truly a business leader. The guy knows how to make good business decisions, and I believe he made really good decisions for our country based on the information that his staff gave him to go on. As far as his behavior after the January 6th situation, of course, it's a given. Nobody liked that. Nobody did. However, I can see, because I've experienced situations with the press, and they never, I shouldn't say never, that's a strong word, they don't quite get everything correct.
Well, no, there's no question, Carolyn. The press, hey, by the way, thanks for the call. I appreciate it. I'm going to kind of get as many calls as we can. No, there's no question that, and part of it isn't journalism. I mean, what happened is you got to understand, the press is a business, especially nowadays when you've got like newspapers that are struggling, and so they're all about selling newspapers or getting people to subscribe to their websites. So it's not really journalism per se, but it's okay. What can we do to attract eyeballs? So, all right, the New York Times becomes kind of the house organ for the Democratic Party. So the people that are subscribing to the New York Times in general are people who, all right, identify with Democrats, identify with the left. So they write stories. I mean, if the New York Times were writing stories that was praising Donald Trump, for example, they would be alienating their base, and they're not going to do it. It's just like why MSNBC isn't going to be running stories that praise Republicans. That's not who's watching them. That's not who's reading them. I mean, I remember when Trump was president, it was amazing because, I read the New York Times to do the show, so you don't have to. But it was one of these deals where 9 out of 10 stories were spun in a way to try to make Trump look bad. I mean, it was one of those deals where I was convinced that even if Donald Trump personally reached into his pocket and gave every American a $100 bill, the New York Times would say, well, yeah, he's giving you a $100 bill, but now you have to figure out where you're going to be able to cash it. And so there's no question about it, Caroline. You are absolutely right. The media did that. And of course, then what happens is Trump is petty and he's a bully and he holds grudges. And so he ended up then responding in kind, and you never had a good relationship at all. So, I mean, there is no question about it that for people who, I think the Trump years in particular really exposed the left-wing bias that you see in a lot of the media. Let's take a quick break. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
It's a city from a fairy tale on the Mediterranean Sea.
Netanya, the city of diamonds.
And in this city of diamonds lived a crazy genius named Moses Hadara.
Moses was a mathematician,
a diamond cutter,
and a bit of a theoretical physicist.
Albert Einstein devised a formula, E equals mc squared.
Albert's formula unleashed the power locked inside an atom.
Moses' formula unleashed the power locked inside a diamond.
Moses began with star facets,
kite facets,
upper girdle facets,
lower girdle facets,
and pavilion facets.
But then a voice told him to add 24 new facets, the Moses facets.
When he cut the final one,
Shazam!
Moses unleashed an explosion of light.
That dazzling diamond is known today as the Kessler 81.
See it for yourself.
See it for yourself.
See it for yourself.
At Kessler's.
To find the Kesslers nearest you, visit KesslersDiamonds.com.
Hi, folks. This is Hank Albert, owner of BBC Lighting. As the largest lighting supplier to new home builders and decorators in Wisconsin, our huge showroom displays all the finest brands of lighting and ceiling fans, including such top brands as Visual Comfort, Tech, and many more. And our expert staff will assist you in making the right selections. Our prices are always the lowest. I guarantee it. If it's lampshades or repairs you need, we do all that too. There's something for everyone at BBC, including fun for the kids and our famous free popcorn. BBC is open Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 and on Saturday from 10 to 4. We're located at 20th and St. Paul Avenue, across from Sobelman's and Bachman Furniture, all near the Potawatomi Casino. Stay safe and healthy, my friends.
The famous Fox and Hounds and Mineshaft restaurants are hiring servers, bartenders, bussers, food runners, and barbacks. It's a great part-time job for high school and college students and retirees. Make real money. Parents and grandparents, tell your kids. Inquire today. Start next week.
Give yourself the gift of beautiful, long-lasting furniture this holiday season. Our pre-holiday sale at Ken Michaels Furniture will ensure that your pieces arrive before the holidays. We're offering 35% off Amish hardwood dining sets in your choice of wood, shape, and finish. Create a holiday table that's ready for your teenager's Instagram. If you order now, you can have the furniture of your dreams by Christmas. Stop in today at Ken Michaels Furniture on Capitol Drive in Brookfield and Highway 100 in Greenfield. Hosting this holiday season? Get your home dressed to impress. Ken Michaels Furniture is having a pre-holiday sale to get your new furniture to you in time. We carry thousands of fabrics, leathers, and wood finishes so you can create a look that's as unique as you are. Order now and wow your holiday guests with personalized furniture. With discounts starting at 30%, you can't beat these deals. Stop in today at Ken Michaels Furniture on Capitol Drive in Brookfield and Highway 100 in Greenfield.
This is Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
When I stopped doing, I said when I announced the fact that I was leaving WTMJ at the end of the year, I said, and I mean it, that I really am going to miss my daily interactions with you. Okay, these are our text line has just exploded. These are I want to share with you 4 texts that came in back to back to back to back. So these are 4 texts that all came in within a minute of each other to just give you an idea of where where people are in this. Okay. Jeff, Trump has guts and did what he said he would do. He can relate to the average person. Yes, he's a jerk, but sometimes we need that sort of thing to get things done. This wishy-washy, namby-pamby land stuff, the left floats, doesn't work. He calls a spade a spade. I do believe, Jeff, he will not be the nominee. Okay, so you have that. Then you have, okay, that was from Chris. Then, Jeff, I voted for him, but never, ever again. Okay, so then we have the next one. Jeff, for the first time in 20 plus years, I have to turn you off. These Trump people are delusional. They act that only Trump can help the economy. My head just exploded. Okay, so you've got that. Then this is the next one that came in. Jeff, I can tell by your voice that this is hard for you. Jeff, all I want to know is when he wins, will you come back and eat your crow? Okay, so that's 4. 2 from, okay, this guy is the greatest thing since canned beer, essentially, to this guy is the Antichrist. And honest to God, those are 4 consecutive things. As far as, okay, when he wins, will you come back and eat crow? Well, okay, if anybody's going to pay my daily fee to do this, you betcha. I have no problem at all living with the consequences of my advice. But I mean, I just think it's kind of interesting that's out there, and part of my thing is I just don't think Trump can win, and I understand that many of you just disagree with me, but and I know I didn't think he could win in 2016, but that was kind of an aberration. I just don't know what's happened since 2020. The people who made the decision not to vote for him, I don't know what has changed their mind other than the fact that I think people are unhappy with Joe Biden. Let's talk to, Larry in Milwaukee. Larry, you're on WTMJ. Hello.
How you doing?
Good. What do you think?
Well, I think
what I'm hearing a lot of your callers call in about how good Trump is and he's doing this because he's making sure they got money and stuff. That's the same thing you can hear the people saying in Russia about Putin. He's wonderful. He's great. He's taking care of us. But yet then we got the other people that's in poverty. So you rather live in a dictatorship where a person tell you what to do, when to do, and how to do it, or in a free country. That's my take on it.
Well, Larry, thanks for the call. Here's what I want. I want to live in a country where people have vision. One of the things that's been frustrating to me about this campaign so far is I don't want to talk about 2020 anymore. I want to talk about, okay, let's look forward. Tell me about 2025. Tell me about 2026. Tell me about, where you see this country going and what it is that you're going to do to make us safer, to make us more prosperous. Give me those ideas. That's the vision that I want. Bill, I'm sorry. Let's tell you what. Let me I just kind of look at this stuff and I say, okay, where are we going? Jeff, I vote on policies, not personality. Well, okay, that's fine. But sometimes, I don't know, sometimes I think personality is important. I have believed my entire life that character matters. I think that character counts. And I think that you want a president that you can be, proud of. I firmly believe that. And I think because you are the leader of the free world. So I think, that's it. Jeff, to me, Trump is petty. He's a bully. He's childish. I don't think he's a great advocates for a president. I think that's an example of, again, sarcasm. So there's it. Jeff, yes, Trump is a jerk, but he's also a bully. Look around. There are several world leaders that we have to deal with that are very tough. Every once in a while, a jerk is what is needed. And he had good policies and could be nice when necessary. All right. Well, this all, again, it doubles back to where we started this, which is, people, I think, recognizing that Trump is extremely flawed as a human being, but nevertheless, they support him. Tina in Milton. Tina, you're on WTMJ. Hello.
Hey there. I've got a lot of people I've talked to that said that they plan on voting for him in the primary so he becomes a Republican nominee because then they'll vote for Biden in the general.
So kind of like a gaslighting thing that we're going to hear. We're going to sort of like what happened. What's happened before, where Democrats get together and they spend money supporting the Republican candidate they think is the most unelectable in the general election.
Yeah, I've seen both parties do that, but yeah, it's so I think that's why the polls are showing what they are. But that I've had a lot of people tell me that.
Do you think Trump's going to ultimately be the nominee? Do you think he's going to be the nominee?
Boy, that's a tough one. I just don't know.
Yeah, no, no, Tina. Thanks for calling. I don't think anybody does, and I think for everybody to say, "Oh, he's going to walk, he's going to do this." I don't. I think we live in incredibly interesting times. I guess is sort of how I feel about this, and I understand that people disagree with me when I say that I think a year from now, when people are actually starting to. I think we right about this time where we'll be starting to cast, or if you're an early voter or something, be right around this time of the year that when you're starting to do that, I think our choices are going to be materially different a year from now than people expect. And I understand people disagree with me. I continue to believe that nominees are not going to be neither Joe Biden or Donald Trump, but time will tell. And yeah, if I end up being wrong and somebody wants to pay my fee, I will be delighted to come back and eat crow. All right. After the top of the hour news, you want to talk about victimizing the victim. I've got a local story and a lot more. Don't go anywhere.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
Get inside the mind of Mark Tauscher.
I feel like I'm a smart person most of the time.
See the world from his perspective.
Sometimes ignorance is bliss. And in this case, I don't know if I'd say it was bliss, but I was definitely ignorant.
On Wisconsin's Morning News, every day at 7:50.
I kind of went with the attitude of don't even have your phone with you. They can't call you, and they can't cut you.
Mark Tauscher on Wisconsin's Morning News. Presented by your Wisconsin Chevy dealers. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and Kohler Services.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Exergen thermometers are a top choice of medical professionals at highly ranked hospitals across the U.S. Accuracy matters, so make Exergen the chosen thermometer for your home and family.
For WTMJ contest rules, visit WTMJ.com/contests.
For those who just can't wait for Black Friday, head over to Fleet Farm today for great Black Friday Now deals. Like a free battery pack with Milwaukee heated jackets, in-store only. Or 40% off all men's Field and Forest flannel. And don't miss our trick-or-treating event on Saturday, October 28th from 10 till noon. With treats for the first 200 kids and gift cards for best costumes. Enjoy Black Friday savings now at Fleet Farm. Home of everything you need for everyday life.
Get ready, Wisconsin. It's Medicare annual enrollment period. So why not make enrolling easier with United Healthcare? Whether you choose our online tools or over-the-phone support, United Healthcare will help you compare options so you can choose a plan with confidence. This is Medicare made for Wisconsin. Trusted everywhere. Explore our wide range of plans by calling United Healthcare today at 1-855-MEET-UHC. That's 1-855-MEET-UHC. Annual enrollment begins October 15th and ends December 7th, so call today.
Poor Jack Skellington. It can get terribly boring being the Pumpkin King. But what if he could take over Christmas? Now that would be something spooktacular. Come and experience all of the mad merry mayhem that ensues when the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra performs The Nightmare Before Christmas live to film October 28th and 29th at the Bradley Symphony Center. Conductor Nicholas Buck will lead the MSO in Danny Elfman's macabre masterpiece of a score as Tim Burton's beloved stop-motion musical plays on the big screen. Are Christmas and Santa Claus doomed? Find out when you come to The Nightmare Before Christmas live to film with the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra. Tickets are selling fast, so call now for yours, 414-291-7605 or online at mso.org.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station. Keeping you informed, keeping you safe, keeping you engaged and entertained. We are Wisconsin's radio station. News Radio 620 WTMJ, Milwaukee.
It's sunny. It's 72 degrees out there. Showers likely tonight, a low of 60. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm John Mercier. Tom Emmer, a Republican congressman from Minnesota who serves as the House Majority Whip, is the latest candidate for Speaker of the House. Republicans elected Emmer in a secret ballot behind closed doors today, and he now needs 217 votes to become the next Speaker. ABC's Jay O'Brien on Capitol Hill says that lawmakers will now vote again amongst themselves before a full House vote.
Typically, the last two Speaker nominees, Steve Scalise and Jim Jordan, who both failed to secure the votes they needed, were elected via secret ballot, and that was it. On this, the third Speaker nominee now, Republicans added another measure, one more, that you have to have a roll call vote now behind closed doors, which is exactly what transpires on the floor. The name of the member is called, and they vocalize who they're going to vote for.
Emmer did vote to certify the results of the 2020 election. Jim Jordan's insistence on not leading to that certification was one of the reasons that he did not become the next speaker. The Milwaukee Fire Department has confirmed a body's been recovered from the Milwaukee River near Water and Cherry. Multiple dive crews are on the scene. It's unclear how long the body's been in the water, and Milwaukee police have not stated whether the death is considered suspicious. Homicides in Milwaukee are down this quarter. Chief Jeffrey Norman says property crime and auto thefts are also down, but carjackings are up.
Unfortunately, seeing that type of uptick with these young adults and young crews where they are, again, being a little bit more brash and reckless that we don't like to see.
Milwaukee Mayor Cavalier Johnson reiterating today he believes it takes the entire community to help crack down on crime. Bucks superstar Giannis Antetokounmpo isn't going anywhere. The Bucks confirming he's locking into a $186 million extension through 2029. He could have made more money had he waited to sign an extension next year. The Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel's Lori Nickel.
Money is not important to him, but his foundation is very important to him, and the things that he wants to do with that foundation long term in terms of charity and community efforts will take a lot of money, and he kind of wants to finance that a lot on his own. So the difference between $186 million, which he got, and what he could have had, $250 million on upwards, it's interesting.
Giannis has yet to say why he decided to sign the deal this year. And a new partnership between the new Milwaukee Public Museum and Culver's.
Milwaukee is the capital for frozen custard.
Culver's co-founder Craig Culver announcing a $1 million donation towards the future Milwaukee Public Museum's Milwaukee Revealed Gallery. That gallery will feature a frozen custard shop complete with custard machine. Now, it won't actually make real custard, and museum senior VP of Development Julie Quinlan Brum explains why.
Throughout that Milwaukee Revealed exhibit will be real objects from the Milwaukee Public Museum's collection, so we can't have food getting all over them and destroying that history.
Adam Roberts, WTMJ News.
Time for news about your money in the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Everything in the green stocks rising as earnings flood in. The S&P 500 is up 32. The Dow is up 256. The NASDAQ right now rising 112 points. Annex Ignite, Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client. They'll meet you where you're at. Details at annexwealth.com. Sports, traffic, and weather up next. Citing Unlimited WTMJ News Time, 2:04.
Your love isn't confined to an advent calendar. It doesn't stop when the Christmas lights come down. With the Salvation Army, your love lasts all year long. It puts a present under someone's tree today and a roof over someone's head tomorrow. It brightens Christmas morning and the hardest nights for hardworking families. Together, we can love beyond Christmas. Donate today to support local families all year long at samilwaukee.org.
A decision we made that nobody believed in was the name change from PM Bedroom Gallery to Penny Mustard.
Ben and Arvid from Penny Mustard Furnishings.
Well, we knew the name fit right away. Yeah. But I remember after we announced that, the Journal-Sentinel in Milwaukee ran an article. And I remember counting, there was 145 comments. 143 were negative and some extremely negative. The other one might have been our mom.
PennyMustard.com.
So I guess the moral of the story is, if you know something's right and everybody else says it's not the thing to do, go with your gut. Yep.
When traveling at 20 miles per hour, the average stopping distance is about 40 feet.
That stopping power is calculated in both thinking and braking distance.
And assuming you've got the thinking and braking part down, the only thing left is good tires.
Just Google Richlands to schedule an appointment at any of our 5 convenient locations.
And rest assured, we'll put you in the right tire no matter what sort of vehicle you drive.
Plus, every tire purchase that we install automatically comes with our free flat tire protection plan.
5 conveniently located facilities, all AAA approved,
and all staffed by ASE certified technicians ready to install your tires.
So Google Richlands
or go to richlands.com.
And remember to be safe, buckle up, and hey, always make sure you have good tread on your tires. I'm Brett Matchke with Richlands, your
due for tire service.
Since 1964, we've changed your tires and so much more. Richlands Tire and Service, such a refreshing change. Richlands.
Time for WTMJ Sports Update.
Bucks fans everywhere have reason to celebrate today. According to ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski, Giannis and Milwaukee have agreed to a 3-year, $186 million contract extension on Monday. Bucks president Peter Fagan speaking on the offseason that was had in Milwaukee.
And this is injecting some found enthusiasm in what was already a championship-level team and kind of, upping the expectations.
The Bucks will officially open their season on Thursday night against the Philadelphia 76ers. The Texas Rangers will await the winner of the NLCS as they go on for the Game 7 11-4 win on Monday night against the Houston Astros. Philly and Arizona will face off with a Game 7 tonight. Game 1 of the World Series will begin on Friday in Texas. Week 7 of the NFL concluded on Monday night as the Vikings took down the Niners by a final score of 22-17. The Packers will play host to Minnesota, who have won their last 2 games this upcoming Sunday at Lambeau Field. And lastly, Wisconsin redshirt freshman quarterback Brady Locke was named Big Ten Freshman of the Week on Monday. I'm Brandon Snide, WTMJ Sports.
Time for your Johnson & Sons paving time-saver traffic. Only one real delay out there. It's 94 westbound downtown to the zoo. That's going to take you 11 minutes. That's about a 5-minute delay.
Traffic sponsored by Wagner Compressor, the Midwest air compressor experts. Visit pressureisoff.biz.
Servicing world-class Wisconsin manufacturers for 9 decades. Contact Wagner Compressor at pressureisoff.biz.
Wagner Compressor.
Tonight, showers are likely, mostly cloudy, breezy, a low of 60. Tomorrow morning, rain, a high of 68. On Thursday, rain is likely, a high of 68. Friday, chance for showers, a high of 68. And on Saturday, we cool it off, partly sunny, a high of 52 degrees. Right now in Madison, beautiful. It's sunny and 75 degrees. In Green Bay, cloudy and 68. In Waukesha, it's sunny and 74 degrees. In Milwaukee, bright sunshine and 75 degrees. I'm John Mercure, citing Unlimited WTMJ News Time, 2:08.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Now, here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
Good afternoon, Wisconsin. Welcome back to the show. You know, John Mercure, there are times when businesses do things and you say, okay, well, maybe it seemed like a good idea at the time, but it doesn't work out.
Sure.
You know? And then there are other times when they do things and you go, that was just a dumb idea from the beginning.
Who thought of that?
Right. Who thought this? Okay, so Victoria's Secret.
Yeah.
All right, now when you think about Victoria's Secret and the way Victoria's Secret became famous, the way the company made money was they sell sexy lingerie to women or to men who are buying sexy lingerie for the women in their life, right?
Yep.
And you'd had the Victoria's Secret models, and you had all that
the
stuff.
Commercials, the runway shows.
The runway shows, exactly. Okay, so I don't know if you know this, but a couple years ago, Victoria's Secret decided that they were going to, in an effort to prioritize wokeness, they were going to drop the sexiness stuff.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, so what they did in an effort to revamp them, I'm looking at this story in Fox Business. So they wanted to promote inclusivity. So they hired LGBTQ pro-women soccer player Megan Rapinoe, as well as a transgender woman. They got rid of the famous Angel supermodels. They stopped marketing like the sexy stuff. And they pivoted to inclusive body positive advertisements and initiatives. So this was the idea. We're gonna rebrand ourselves. You know, again, we're gonna stop selling the sexy stuff.
So they're selling granny panties now.
Well,
and sweatpants.
Yeah, I guess.
So are they trying to torpedo their own business model?
Well, that's where we pick up. According to the numbers, the projected revenue for 2023 is $6 billion, which is 5% lower than it was last year, and even lower than 2020 when the revenue was $7.5 billion. So since they've enacted this, they've lost, do the math, 15-20% in revenue because this body positivity stuff, which has a value, don't get me wrong, but it's not what people came to Victoria's Secret for.
What a dumb decision. How'd you like to be holding, 100,000 shares of that stock?
Right. So now they have decided, okay, well, now what we're going to do is we're going to bring back the runway show. We're going to start again blending the sexiness that the brand had become famous for because their desire to be inclusive just flat out didn't work.
Yeah, cost a lot of people a lot of money. It did not work.
I loved your phrase. I would love to be in that boardroom where, we want to be more inclusive, and I get that. And we want to, we don't want to contribute to body shaming and stuff. So, let's start selling granny panties.
Sure.
Exactly.
Sure. In addition to what they already sell, though, not get rid of the sexiness.
Well, right. Yes, exactly. So this is another one of these examples of kind of go woke and go broke. So the new direction for the company. They told investors, okay, we get it. So now we're going to work on sexiness can be inclusive. And so that's what we're now going to focus on. So,
oh my gosh. Yeah, I liked what you said. Sometimes you try something, you're not sure. Sometimes someone should have stood up and said, are you insane? Why?
Who thinks it?
Why would we do that?
Remember back in the day when Marquette decided to dump the Warriors nickname, which for those of us who are graduates, it still kind of stings because I understand they made the decision to get rid of the Warriors nickname because, well, they had a Native American mascot, and that was offending people. So many of us said, okay, the problem isn't with the name Warriors. The problem is with the mascot. So drop the mascot and then come up with a different mascot.
It's the mascot.
Right. Keep the Warriors. And the ever politically correct people that ran Marquette at the time said, no, we, regardless of whatever we come up with, there will be the association with Native Americans, which I thought was
bad
crazy.
Decision.
So then you have this big focus group and they're deciding, what name are they going to come up with? And remember Marquette Gold?
Oh, I do. That was terrible. What a joke that was.
Right.
Yeah.
You just thought that, again, somebody sitting in that room would have said, huh.
Right. Groupthink. Groupthink can be very dangerous. One guy comes up with the idea, and if he's the guy in charge, you need someone who stand up and say, no, that's really probably not the greatest idea.
Right, and this is going to be ridiculed if we do this, and we're going to have to walk it back. So that's kind of like, okay, let's make Victoria's Secret not sexy. Good thinking. Mm-hmm. Well, or not. Okay, let's just crazy. I mean, it is. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, I would describe this as adding insult to injury. I will explain. We will discuss.
Stick around. Jeff Wagner is right around the corner. Missing the playoffs in 92, some thought it was the... Then in 97...
The Packers are going to enjoy the fruit and the Lombardi Trophy.
And in 2011...
The Lombardi Trophy is coming home.
Now with a new soundtrack to the season, it's officially the season of love. Catch Green Bay Game Day, pre- and post-game, all season long. Right here on WTMJ.
According to the U.S. debt clock, our debt is over $32 trillion and climbing. The question is, how do we pay it off? One of the most likely answers is increasing taxes. Now think about your retirement accounts. Do you want to pay taxes on some of that money now when rates are historically low, or later when rates are potentially higher? At Drake & Associates, we can help you create a plan so your retirement is tax efficient as possible. If you'd like to continue your education, we have our Retirement Ready Toolkit, which includes guides on retirement tax savings. To receive this complimentary toolkit, call or text TAX to 414-409-9982. That's calling or texting TAX to 414-409-9982. When taxes go up, will you be ready? Call or text now.
Investment advisory services provided by Drake & Associates, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Insurance products are offered through a separate company, Loft Financial Advisory Group, LLC, a Wisconsin insurance agency. Clients are under no obligation to purchase any recommended insurance products.
Hi, John McGivern here. Did you know Network Health has Medicare Advantage plans that give you $25 a month back towards your Medicare Part B premium? That's $300 a year back in your pocket. Isn't that great? Call 833-7-NETWORK to learn more today. Network Health Medicare Advantage plans include PPO plans with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in Network Health Medicare Advantage plans depends on contract renewal. Certain restrictions apply to the Part B giveback. Visit networkhealth.com/Medicare/extra benefits for details.
Hey, Brian. I think it's time to get serious about new windows and front door for our home.
I agree. It will save us money in the long run to eliminate the draft.
I was thinking more about our curb appeal, but yes, the draft thing too.
J&J Contractors in Greendale have been around for 40 years and have great reviews.
Go give them a call.
J&J Contractors' skilled and certified team uses high-quality materials for all your exterior needs. J&J Contractors do it all. Windows, doors, siding, roofing, and gutters.
This is Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
So, Aaron and Samantha, should I tell my Victoria's Secret story? Okay, bring it on. Okay, this is, all right, so a number of years ago, well, a handful of years ago, we were on one of our listener trips. And I think it was the Rhine trip. But anyhow, to get home, It ended in Basel, Switzerland, and the flight was Basel to Frankfurt and Frankfurt to Chicago. So what happens is we get to Basel, and there's like 40 of us in this group, and the airport was on a ground shutdown because in Europe they are very, very serious about bombings and stuff. And what happens is if somebody doesn't pick up their luggage, you just kind of let it go on the carousel and it stays for like over 30 minutes, they shut down the airport. They put on a ground stop because their concern is that somebody's put a bomb in the thing or whatever. So we get to the airport, we're ready to get our flight. It's going to connect in Frankfurt, which is a huge, huge airport. So what happens is they're in the ground stop delays all the flights. So our flight getting out of Basel is like 2 hours late because some idiot didn't pick up their luggage. So we get into Frankfurt, and the flight, this was Lufthansa, the flight was leaving in like 20 minutes. And so if you've ever been through the Frankfurt airport, when it comes to security, the Germans do not fool around. I mean, there's dogs and there's guys with like automatic weapons running through there. So we got 40 people. So me and the gal from Fox World Travel, we're ahead. We start running like bats out of you-know-where, and we got to go from one section to the other. And so we're trying to get to the gate to say, hey, we got 40 people that are coming. So we're running, and people are kind of looking at us. And I go through this passport control thing, and I'm like, you got to make through here. So we get to the gate right as they're closing it. And I'm like, I got 38 people that'll be here in 10 minutes, and they said, sorry, boom, they close this. And so our flight to Chicago leaves. So now you have all these people who are stuck. Now, what happened is Lufthansa put us up in this really crummy hotel a few miles from the airport. But what's worse is we don't have our baggage because the luggage is gone. Luggage or it will be loaded on the plane the next day, but we can't get access to the luggage. So you got no luggage at all. And so now you're spending the night in Frankfurt. And the hotel we stayed in, it had vending machines that had plenty of condoms, but not much beyond condoms. All right. So, again, it's this airport hotel. So nobody's got any clothes. I mean, you got the clothes on your back. You got no toiletries. You've got nothing. So one of the people on our trip, who'd been on a couple of the other trips, she apparently runs in because in the airport in Franklin, there was a Victoria's Secret. And so she's smart enough to know she's going to buy a pair of underwear, so she needs change. But you can't just buy a pair of underwear. Apparently it comes in like a 2-pack. You got to buy a 2-pack of underwear. So she decided to share. So Fran got the other pair of underwear. So she said, well, here, you take this as well. I think that's the last time we've had Victoria's Secret purchases that were there. But it was kind of like, oh, my gosh. And so you are kind of wearing the same clothes. And I admit, by the time we got on the flight the next day and got back to Chicago, I freely admit I was a little bit gamey. There's just no doubt about it. But we still, I still get texts and stuff from people. It was the Frankfurt 40. And I remember I'm talking to this Lufthansa woman. I'm going, there's 38 people behind me. If you just hold this for 10 minutes, everybody will be here. We'll get on the plane. And they said, nope. And they shut the doors. And then we ended up staying in this no-tell motel in downtown there. And again, they had vending machines. That was it. There was vending machines, but they didn't have food in them. They didn't have much of anything in them, except I remember lots of choices of condoms. So that's my Victoria's Secret story. Okay. All right. Adding insult to injury. Here's a story. It was on Channel 12. Caught my attention. It is the story of a Milwaukee furniture store owner. So here's what happens. He comes to his store one day, and he finds that there are close to 100 car and truck tires which have been dumped onto his property. Somebody has come and they've thrown all these tires onto his property. Now, the way it works around here is local tire dealers normally charge $5 per tire for a disposal fee. Okay, and there's a service if you've got about 100 tires, they charge you $3, but that's it. It's kind of like if you take your car into an auto shop and they replace your tires, you've got to pay this $5 fee. So the guy comes, he finds that somebody has dumped in the neighborhood of 100 tires, truck and car tires, onto his property. He calls the police. He said, hey, I've come here. Somebody has littered all over my property. I've got all these tires that are there. So, here he's a victim. He says, look, this has happened before. Every once in a while I'll come in and somebody has thrown a couple tires over the fence. And generally, if that happens, okay, I take the tires to the city dump. It costs me $3 a piece. But the dump has a limit of 5 tires. This guy's got 100 tires that have been dumped on his property. Okay, so he calls the cops. He says, look, I'm a victim here. Somebody has trespassed. They've dumped all this stuff on me. Apparently, the response of the city is you've got 7 days to move it. If you don't get these tires off of your property in 7 days, the city will send somebody out to take the tires off of your parking lot, and they will charge you $3,000, which they will add to your real estate property bill. And the guy is saying, wait a second, I'm the victim. These aren't my tires. This isn't my business. Somebody has littered on my property, and you're telling me that unless I get these things out of here at my cost, in 7 days, you're going to take care of it, and you're going to then charge me $3,000. They said, yep, the health department wants you to move this within 5 or 6 days. Our number, 855-616-1620, which is the Old National Bank talk and text line. I was watching this story with interest because I'm sitting there thinking, you want to talk about victimizing the victim. If this were this guy's tires, I get it. Okay, I understand that, but they're not. If he was in the business of recycling tires and things like that, and you've got this eyesore of a pile of tires, yeah, I get it. Understand. You say, hey, this is an eyesore. You got to get rid of it. But in this particular case, the guy is a victim. And for the city to say, okay, you've got 7 days to get rid of this, and if you don't, we're going to take care of the problem and we're going to charge you $3,000, seems to me to be tone deaf at best. 855-616-1620. He's the crime victim, isn't he? And isn't this victimizing the victim? 855-616-1620. Will the last person to leave the city of Milwaukee please turn the lights off? We discuss in just a moment.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
Creative Planning presents Rethink Your Money with John Hagenson, Saturday afternoon at 1. At Creative Planning, we custom tailor your portfolio to help you achieve your ideal financial future. You'll see how our wealth managers work with in-house CPAs and attorneys to ensure your money is working as hard as it can for you. Why not give your wealth a second look? Visit creativeplanning.com. That's creativeplanning.com.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
Flimsy, feeble, flaccid. That's how you can describe most pre-approval letters these days. Heck, a lot of big banks issue pre-approval letters using soft credit pulls instead of real credit reports. Do you really want to compete in today's still low inventory market with a soft credit pull and a pre-approval that's silent on 2 of the 3 critical elements of a mortgage approval? A rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval from AccuNet not only verifies your credit with a real credit report, we also verify your income and down payment, and then issue a letter with a $2,000 guarantee to back it up. And now, AccuNet is issuing property-specific pre-approvals that often come with this sweet phrase: no appraisal required. That's right, AccuNet may be able to issue your pre-approval at or above the seller's asking price without needing an appraisal. Today's home market is still a metaphorical knife fight. Your bank is offering you, well, a pocket knife. AccuNet is Crocodile Dundee. Now that's a knife, mate. Click on the blue button today at accunet.com.
This is Brad Yumberg with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company. There's a lot of fluff around window sales, but what really matters is the type of people you choose to have working for you. That's why I want to highlight Semper Fi's own CJ Callies. He's been selling, measuring, installing, and managing window installations for 35 plus years. He has a depth of knowledge that allows him to see problems before they happen, and I swear, I think the guy could see behind walls. He's easy to work with, and I can't think of a customer who hasn't liked working with him, and he really is the kind of guy you're going to want on your job. CJ's in charge of our entire window and door division, and you can be assured he's going to have his hands on your project. Most companies focus on the product. At Semper Fi, we focus on our people and you, and that's never let us down. For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, call Semper Fi, because you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
Keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi.
Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
855-616-1620. That's the old National Bank talk and text line. Okay, so here's the deal. Guy comes to work, runs a furniture store in Milwaukee. Comes to work one day and he finds that somebody has illegally dumped somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 tires, like old used tires. They've thrown them over the guy's fence. They are on his property. It costs, I don't know, $3 to $5 to recycle tires, but this is 100 of them. So he calls the cops. He said, hey, look, these people, they've dumped all this crap on my property. And the response he gets from the city is, okay, well, too bad. The Board of Health says you have to have these gone in 2 to 6 days, and if you don't get rid of them, we're going to come out, we're going to get rid of them, and we're going to charge you $3,000. You go, what, $3,000? Why don't you catch the people who did this and have them remove this? 855-616-1620. Let's start with Tom in Ripon. Tom, you're on WTMJ. Good afternoon.
Well, hi, Mark. Nice talking to you.
Hi, Tom.
Congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you.
Say, we had a kind of a situation up in the township that I live in here in Fond du Lac County a few years ago. Somebody dumped about 120 tires on a town road, kind of just right in the middle of the road, just dumped them. Well, the police came and they took down the serial numbers of a bunch of the tires and contacted the owners because all the tires have a serial number that's registered.
Sure. Yeah.
With the owner's name and found out they all had their tires changed at a certain big tire dealer up here.
Yeah.
They contacted the tire dealer and the person who they had contracted with to haul all the old tires off to be disposed of properly. Well, he just picked them up, drove them about 3-4 miles out of town and dumped them. So
yeah,
he got caught. He had to pay for the town's expenses for cleaning them up, and also had a pretty hefty fine too.
Yeah, see, now that, I mean, Tom, and thanks for calling. See, in a rational world, now look, I understand that you're talking about Milwaukee where you've got carjackings and murders and all that sort of stuff, but this to me is the classic example of victimizing the victim. It's like you have your car stolen. All right, so your car is stolen. They find it, abandoned, 5 miles away, in a no parking zone. So they tow it to the parking lot, and then they tow it to a lot, and then you have to pay the towing fees. For example, that's what it would be like. Now, I don't know if they do that in these cases, but that's kind of what it would be like. Wait, my car got stolen, so the thieves parked it in the no parking zone, and you towed it. This to me is sort of, it's the similar thing to that you're going to hold this guy responsible. Rather, it seems to me, you should be holding the person, the criminal, responsible. And that's actually, I didn't know that you could check, where the tires come from. But it seems to me that's a pretty good example. Jeff, on Facebook right now, there's a picture of a pickup truck with tons of tires in the bed driving around Milwaukee that's going viral. I wonder if this story is connected to the truck. You can also see the license plate. Well, yeah, this isn't just 2 or 3. And the guy, a business owner, says, look, this has happened before. I've come in and I found, 2 or 3 tires that have been thrown over the fence. And in that case, I'm not calling the cops. I'm a little bit annoyed, but, I'll take them to the city dump and I'll recycle them myself. And it costs me $10 or $15 or whatever it is. But the city dump will only take 5 tires. This is, it says 100 tires. I can't do it myself. It's too overwhelming. You would think that this is where you go right there. Jeff, this is tongue in cheek, I think. I would drop them all off at the mayor's house and see if the city rule is enforced there as well. Seems like the cost of a littering ticket would be a lot less than the disposal fee. All right, that's what you wonder. Because if this is the approach, and littering is a huge problem in the city of Milwaukee. You have people who are dumping all sorts of stuff, everywhere, and a number of neighbors are complaining. You would think that that's one of the deals there, that if you're not going to investigate this, and you're not going to hold people accountable, it seems to me you're just completely green-lighting this kind of behavior. Jeff, I live on the east side. There's an apartment behind me every month. Behind my garage, they dump mattresses, TV, and so forth. The city fined me once for what they were doing. Now I just throw the stuff back by the apartment, and they throw it back by me. I keep throwing it right back over there. I don't know what else to do. I paid once. I'm not paying again for somebody else's stuff. I spoke to the city, and they told me it's my problem. I spoke to the city, and they told me it's my problem. So you got people that are dumping crap here, they're littering, and it's your problem. John in Kenosha. John, you're on WTMJ. Hello.
Hey, Jeff. Thanks for taking the call.
What do you think?
Just trying to look at the other side of it. The city, first of all, I'm not going to really bag the city for having a response. I do agree there should be an investigation. But look, if this has happened before and he still isn't maybe investing in security cameras, trying to help out from his end, if I had tires in my backyard, I could call the city and say, hey, look, someone dumped these. You got to get these out of here. And they're just a tire pickup service. To me, hopefully there is an investigation. They figure out what the deal is with the tires. But with all the issues Milwaukee's dealing with, I don't think tires should be at the forefront.
Well, John, thanks for calling. Look, is this the most significant situation? No. But at the same time, and this kind of goes back to what I talk about with broken windows policing and quality of life things, if you have people that are just driving around dumping, in this case, dumping tires, that onto taxpayers' businesses and property, that affects the quality of life. It affects businesses. It affects their willingness of businesses to have to stay. And in this particular case, it's okay. This is now your problem. And if you don't do this in 2 to 6 days, we're going to come out and we're going to charge you $3,000. And somebody said, well, maybe it'd be covered by insurance. Well, I don't know if it's going to be covered by insurance or not. But even so, then the guy's insurance rates go up. He's the victim. And that's what I can't get over. He is a crime victim. And instead of being treated as the crime victim, he's being treated as if he's the bad guy. And I guess there's just something wrong about that to me. Maybe the answer is, okay, well, first of all, we're going to give you time to take care of all this. But at the same time, this idea that we're going to punish you, I think, is absolutely ridiculous. And what that does is it just encourages people to engage in this ongoing bad behavior. And you wonder why there's just vacant lots that are full of crap. Well, it's because of things like this. So I'm siding with the furniture store guy here. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner, WTMJ.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
All right, Team Pella, listen up.
Thanks, John Kuhn. Customers love our products with limited lifetime warranties. Check out these big plays. Incredible innovations like blinds and shades between the glass.
No interference on that play, Coach.
And stylish windows with hidden screens that make game days a breeze.
Can it get any better?
It can. With monthly payments as low as $19 per window, $75 per patio door, and a free quote at PellaWI.com.
Let's go.
6.99 APR for 120 months. Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Offers on 10/31/2023.
Matt had just moved into his first apartment and needed furniture to fill it, but he didn't have a big credit line. So I told him about St. Vincent de Paul. There's always a nice selection of gently used furniture there, and sometimes you can find some really cool retro pieces. And the best part is, it's always super affordable. St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores for first-time furniture buyers or anyone looking for great deals on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield and 23rd and Lincoln in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
Old National Bank.
I just got your home equity loan, and this feeling of joy and exhilaration overcame me.
Yeah, it's a phenomenon we call getting old.
Wow, so I'm not the only one?
No, small business owners feel it with expansion loans. Families feel it when they're setting up trusts and 529s. Nonprofits who need financing to help the community. And anyone who needs investment advice, they all feel it.
So it's not just me?
No, you're in a pretty big club.
Like a club I can join?
I really don't.
Is there at least a secret handshake?
Old National Bank, where relationships and results matter. Old National. Get old. Member FDIC.
When severe weather hits and the power goes out, do you have a plan?
For reliable power and peace of mind, propane can do that. It only takes about 10 seconds for a propane-powered generator to restore power to your home. So no matter what Mother Nature has in store, you know you're prepared. Learn more at WIPGA.org. This message is sponsored by your local propane provider and the Wisconsin Propane Education and Research Council.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
One of the issues that actually Channel 12 has been focusing on is just how out of control littering is in the city of Milwaukee. Last week, they had an interview with one of the aldermen for the city, Lamont Westmoreland. You know, they drive down Fond du Lac Avenue, and apparently Fond du Lac Avenue is just like a war zone. He said the alderman's talking about full trash. Sometimes it's wind, full trash bins like blow that over. But more often than not, they say, look, people are just dumping stuff right out of their car. Right now, the fine for littering sits at $500. The alderman says the problem, though, is police can't enforce it. You have the tool of a littering fine. However, you can't enforce it right now because of how thin police are. So until we can enforce it, my job is to come up with legislation to hold these people accountable. Well, good luck with that. But, yeah, you look at a $500 littering fine. It's okay. You dump 100 tires, and at a recycling cost, it's going to be $5 a tire. So you do the math. You can litter and it's still cheaper. It's just cheaper to just dump these things somewhere. And even if they catch you, and you get the fine, it's not going to be that big a deal. These are all quality of life things. And it's one of the reasons why they need to hire more cops and they need to be aggressive in cracking down on all these things, not just the murders, not just the carjackings. And I appreciate that's got to be a priority. But if you're talking about quality of life, you have to be focusing on other things. And that includes, people who are dumping 100 old tires onto somebody's business property. Okay, I've been holding back on talking about this just because I've been hoping that there's going to be more details that emerge, and at least as of this time, I don't think so. At least the police haven't been forthcoming with this information, and it's a problem because lots of parents are unhappy. So yesterday, for those of you who haven't heard this story, about 6:30 in the evening, what happened is Germantown police got a call about somebody acting erratically at the Kennedy Middle School's parking lot. So this is a middle school in Germantown. At the time, inside the building, there's a rec league volleyball. They got rec league volleyball. So you got people in there. I think there might have also been a school board meeting. So you've got 50 to 70 people that are inside the middle school. So 6:30 at night, the calls, there's somebody acting erratically in the parking lot. When officers arrived in person, well, there's a number of different, scenarios about this. But so they answer the call. And according to the local newspaper, the man was able to climb onto the roof of the school. Okay, so the cops come. All right, they try to see what's going on. The guy runs away, climbs onto the roof of the school, and then starts shooting at the police. Starts shooting at the police from the roof of the school where you've got like 50 to 70 people who are inside. Officers return fire. The school is placed in a lockdown. They return fire. And apparently, what happens is the guy's killed. The guy is killed. As a result of this gun battle. The good news is that none of the officers were hurt. But this, of course, understandably freaks everybody out. The Germantown School District is then closed. Not just this school, but all the schools have been closed for today. The plan is to reopen them tomorrow. But at least thus far, the school district has not been, I don't know if it's the school district or the State Department of Justice, has not been forthcoming about any of the real circumstances behind this. The State Department of Justice, Josh Call, has refused to release the person's name, the person's gender, or the age, or comment on the person's behavior or why the person came to the school. All right, now I understand there's this thing that we always talk about the fog of war, and sometimes when events first happen, you end up getting it wrong. What's the classic example of that from the last week? Well, you have, remember in the Middle East, there's this heavy breathing report that the New York Times puts out and other people then guppy on, saying that Israel airstrikes had hit this hospital and killed 500 people. Well, okay, and that's according to the terrorist group Hamas. Well, it turns out that's complete bull. It turns out what actually, first of all, thankfully the death count wasn't quite as high, but what actually happened is it was Hamas rockets that were aimed at Israel that came up short and landed on this hospital in the parking lot. So it's Hamas that did it. But meanwhile, the New York Times has run with this story that they've now kind of walked back and apologized for, and that serves as a basis for, again, inflaming part of the Arab world who want to believe that, it's Israel and the United States are the great Satans, and look, they've killed all these people, when it turns out it was Hamas that did it. And if the New York Times had held off just a little bit or showed a little bit less of a desire to rush to judgment, or here, we want to be first, or gee, we're going to believe the terrorists, okay, maybe they would have gotten the story right, just maybe. But they didn't do any of that, and they caused, I think, lots and lots of damage by what I would call blood libel to Israel. So I understand that you want to be careful about things, but at the same time, you have a lot of parents in Germantown and residents in Germantown that are freaked out. You have some guy with a gun who somehow gets onto the roof of this middle school when there's 50 or 60 or 70 people inside at 6:30 at night and gets in a gun battle and ends up getting killed. So I understand that you want to be careful. You don't want to rush to judgment, but this happened at 6:30 last evening. And even if you're still conducting the investigation, trying to determine what the person's motives were, that's fine. But at this point in time, why not release the person's name? Why not release the person's gender? Why not release the person's age? To the extent, and I don't know these answers. Was this a former student? Who was it? Now, even if you don't know all those answers, you do know some things. They know who this person was. They know the age. They know the gender. You can at least describe in part what was it? What was the erratic behavior that caused the police to respond to this in the first place? You can answer some of these questions without compromising the ongoing investigation. It's not like there's suspects that are at large. And if you were to do something like this, I think you would, again, there's probably all sorts of stuff that you don't know. But by at least giving the public some basic information, I think what you can end up doing is like calming people who might otherwise be, extremely and understandably upset about this, because you've got parents out there who are saying, okay, well, you're going to start school the next day. What was this? Was this just some crazy, and that's what my guess is, was this some sort of crazy one-off guy? Was this suicide by cop? What was it? But you got all these parents who are wondering, okay, could this have been something more significant? I doubt it, but this is one where law enforcement, I think, needs to be upfront, forthcoming, and transparent. And you can release some of this information to make people feel more comfortable without compromising an ongoing investigation or without, risk of being real wrong. We don't know what the motive was for this person to show up in this parking lot. We don't know what the motive was, but this is what the report was. This is what they said that he or she was doing. I think it's a he. And then, this is what ended up happening. This is how many shots that we think were fired. And this is who it was, because he's dead. They killed him. They killed him in the gun battle, and provide that information and then put people's minds at rest. It's not that hard to do it right. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner, WTMJ.
Stick around. Jeff Wagner is right around the corner.
Hosting this holiday season? Get your home dressed to impress. Ken Michaels Furniture is having a pre-holiday sale to get your new furniture to you in time. We carry thousands of fabrics, leathers, and wood finishes so you can create a look that's as unique as you are. Order now and wow your holiday guests with personalized furniture. With discounts starting at 30%, you can't beat these deals. Stop in today at Ken Michaels Furniture on Capitol Drive in Brookfield and Highway 100 in Greenfield. Give yourself the gift of beautiful, long-lasting furniture this holiday season. Our pre-holiday sale at Ken Michaels Furniture will ensure that your pieces arrive before the holidays. We're offering 35% off Amish hardwood dining sets in your choice of wood, shape, and finish. Create a holiday table that's ready for your teenager's Instagram. If you order now, you can have the furniture of your dreams by Christmas. Stop in today at Ken Michaels Furniture on Capitol Drive in Brookfield and Highway 100 in Greenfield.
It's spooky season, and we have monster deals at Heiser. Is your vehicle giving you a scare? Making noises like a monster's living under the hood? Or it's barely being held together like a 5,000-year-old mummy? Don't scream. Heiser has you covered. We have 5 certified service centers and 2 body shops. We're taking new clients, and we serve all makes and models, monsters included. So make sure you get treated with all that Heiser has to offer. Because at Heiser, today's your day.
See dealer for complete details.
Do you check your savings account and wonder if you're even saving at all? At Town Bank, we view banking differently and actually want to see your savings grow. With our amazing new CD rates, you can now earn even more, so you can sit back and relax. Stop banking the same way, expecting different results, and start earning more. Go to townbank.us/locknewrates or visit a Town Bank branch nearest you today. Bank differently with Town Bank. Member FDIC.
Fleet Farm's got everything you need for everyday life. Brands from Carhartt to Milwaukee to Purina to Goodyear to Rapala to Levi's and a whole lot more. In-store or online, check out all the brands Fleet Farm carries to help make your everyday life better.
Home and auto insurance is getting more expensive these days. Here's Jeff Salazinski, VP of Insurance Operations at R&R Insurance.
Thank you, Vince. Multiple years of inflation are making this homeowners and auto insurance market difficult for buyers. In today's market, buyers need options. Agents that can only provide a quote from one company cannot create competition for you that brings you the best price. Secondly, these same agents and their one company option are passing along huge price increases this year. Your path to a better price is through creating competition. R&R Insurance works with over 20 A-rated insurance companies. Don't settle for just one quote.
So, Jeff, what's the solution?
With 48 years of stability, local family ownership, and deep industry knowledge, R&R Insurance will be focused on you and will build a strategy to make sure your family has the right protection and a competitive price. At R&R Insurance, we know home and auto insurance.
That's Jeff from R&R Insurance. Thanks for the great info, Jeff.
Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Let me correct one thing I said earlier. This shooting incident occurred at Franklin, at Kennedy Middle School in Germantown, and the entire Germantown school district was closed today. The schools are going to be open tomorrow, except Kennedy Middle School. Apparently, what they've decided is that is going to be closed for the foreseeable future, and students with the school district are then okay. So what happens is all schools except Franklin Middle School will resume class on Wednesday. Students with the school district are then out the rest of the week, Thursday and Friday. So those must be some of those many holidays that they build into the school schedules. It's unclear. The story that I'm looking at says Franklin Middle School will be closed for the foreseeable. All schools except Franklin Middle will resume class on Wednesday. Franklin will be closed for the foreseeable future, and it remains to be seen where Franklin Middle School kids will go to learn. So it's kind of up in the air as to what's going to happen there. Again, but my point about this is it's all the more reason why, given the fact that people are understandably going to be uneasy about this, it's all the more reason why you want to be as transparent as possible, as quickly as possible. And I recognize that you're not going to know all the answers, but to me, you're now pushing 18 plus hours after the incident, and there's no reason not to identify who the shooter was. There's no reason not to publicly identify what was the basis of the erraticness that caused the cops to respond in the first place. And the more you tell people about that, the more people feel at ease, which at the end of the day is what it should all be about. Hey, let me end the program on an upbeat note. downtown Main Street in West Bend. And I love the community of West Bend. We have lots of listeners in Washington County. My wife, before we got married, she had a condo in downtown West Bend in the old West Bend building. Loved it. A little small, but we loved it. Spent a lot of time in West Bend, when we were seeing each other, and then after we got married, before we moved into the place we're in now and stuff. So I love the whole downtown area. There's been a massive revamp going on in West Bend of the Main Street. The Main Street has been, and Main Street West Bend, there's lots of business and stuff. It's been closed for a while now, and they've got the job completed. They actually got it completed about 10 days ahead of schedule, and they've now reopened this, and now you've got a lot of the shops and a lot of the restaurants and the bars that were closed. They've come back. So it does show that every once in a while, when you put your mind to it, you can get stuff done ahead of schedule. I hope the people that are responsible for rebuilding I-43 can take something from the people at West Bend and maybe get the thing done a little bit ahead of schedule, because if you drive I-43 on a regular basis, it's an absolute mess. So, maybe they can follow whatever they did at West Bend, get it done a little bit sooner, and make it easier for everybody who has that commute. All right, when we come back, let's find out what John and Greg have on their minds for Wisconsin's Afternoon News. This is Jeff Wagner.
While you rest on the weekends, we work for you. Wisconsin's Weekend Morning News with Libby Collins. The latest in news.
Time to check in with Mark Cass, editor-in-chief of the Milwaukee Business Journal.
There's a big need for money in Milwaukee.
Entertainment.
Matt Miller from OnMilwaukee.com.
I've had enough Aaron Rodgers to last me a lifetime.
And more.
We got a busy show today.
Every Sunday morning starting at 8 on WTMJ.
ESPN